Hey there, welcome to Nightmare Whisper. I'm here to help you relax tonight. Though, before you get too cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It really makes us feel like the global community it is. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's begin our evening together. Story 1. The sky is overcast when she arrives. Not gray, but the color of something old left too long in water, like paper melting at the edges. The road narrows as it approaches the town. No signs, no slogans, just asphalt that softens beneath the tires, as if remembering every car that ever left. She doesn't remember the drive. Just the sound of gravel under her wheels as she pulls in front of the house. A small white cottage, paint curling at the corners. A wind chime made from bone-shaped metal pieces hanging from the porch beam. They don't make a sound, even though the breeze moves through them. She steps out. The air smells like wet wood and dried milk. The silence is too intact, like it hasn't been broken in years. And on the porch, right in the center of the wooden steps, sits the mat. Faded navy thread, cracks in the stitching, but the words are clear. We missed you. Her name hasn't been spoken aloud here. She hasn't introduced herself. She hasn't even signed the rental paperwork. But the mat is already there, waiting, watching. Inside, the house is furnished. Not new, not decorated, just furnished. As though someone tried to remember what comfortable meant and got most of it right, but not quite. A couch with one leg slightly too short. A bookshelf missing its middle shelf. Curtains that don't close, but seem drawn regardless. And on the kitchen table, a single envelope. No stamp, no handwriting, just her initials pressed into the paper like a bruise. Inside, a key, silver, cold, slightly damp. She doesn't remember giving anyone her initials, but when she slides the key into the bedroom door, it turns too easily, as if the lock had been shaped for her. That night, she dreams of stairs. Endless, narrow stairs leading downward, too steep to walk, too shallow to fall. She wakes up not in her bed, but sitting in the hallway, knees drawn to her chest, hands cold, the bedroom door behind her wide open. The mattress bears an impression beside hers. Something long, something still. She tells herself it's just the shape of the duvet, but she starts sleeping with the hallway light on, just in case shadows remember to crawl. The town is small, not quaint, not picturesque, just small, like a secret you forgot you were keeping. Everyone seems to recognize her, not with joy, with resignation. The woman at the bakery gives her coffee before she orders. No cream, 2 sugars, she says. The postman hands her letters, addressed in unfamiliar handwriting, but with her name. The gas station clerk nods and murmurs, "Back again, huh?" She starts to ask what they mean, but their eyes soften, the way people look at someone grieving something they can't remember. Though she stops asking, she walks the perimeter of her yard, trying to find comfort in the ordinary. A gate that won't shut, a shed with no keyhole, a single tree with bark peeling like skin from sunburn. At its base, she finds a child's shoe, leather, small, tied in a perfect knot. She leaves it there. It feels wrong to move it. It feels wrong that it was never covered by dirt, like the earth spit it out. night, the wind chime hums, just once. And in the morning, the shoe is gone. Week 2, the radio only picks up one station. No DJ, no ads, just a low hum, like an old cello string being tuned too tight. She leaves it on, just to fill the air. But sometimes the hum dips, like a voice trying to form a word, but forgetting how. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the power cuts out for 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Every night, she times it. Lights flicker back on just as her breath starts to frost. Once during the blackout, she swears she hears the hum outside. Not from the radio, from under the porch. The walls remember sounds. She hears the echo of dishes clinking when she walks past the kitchen. Footsteps overhead when no one's upstairs. Once she smells lavender faint, dusty, old. She follows it to the closet beneath the stairs. Inside, an old dress, black torn at the hem. The tag reads, "For Claire, welcome home." That's not her name, but when she touches the dress, something inside the walls exhales. In the grocery store, she sees a photo near the entrance. Old curled edges, black and white. A group of townsfolk, 20 or so, standing in front of her house. One woman stands in the center. Same eyes, same scar above the lip, same curve of the jaw. She stares for a long time. When she asks the clerk who it is, the woman shrugs. "Used to live here. Looks like you, don't she?" She nods quietly, but that night she checks the closet again. The dress is gone. The welcome mat now says, "Welcome back." She tries to leave. Gas station says pump error. ATM eats her card. Her phone charges, but never turns on. Google Maps shows a single road looping in on itself, like a snake eating its tail. When she drives out of town, the signs vanish. Then the road vanishes, and the sky looks wrong, too low, too close. She turns around. Her house is waiting, porch light on, radio humming, and the mat still whispering, "Welcome back." She stops dreaming, or maybe the dream is now. People wave now, but only when she's not looking, and the man in the diner keeps asking how her father's doing. She never told anyone about her father, not even that he's been dead 10 years. He winks. "He was always a good man. Told us you'd come back." She doesn't finish her meal. When she gets home, the basement door is unlocked. She didn't unlock it. She doesn't go down yet. But every night, it's a little more open, just enough to smell something familiar, like old books, or something buried, or someone waiting. The mirror in the hallway doesn't reflect sunlight. Not quite. When the morning hits it, the light splits strangely. Not into color like a prism, but into shadow. Soft layers of gray that fall in shapes she doesn't recognize. Like the silhouette of someone who used to live here, still caught in the glass. She tells herself it's just old coating or bad placement. She tells herself many things now. The mirror's frame is made of carved wood, darkened over time, with delicate spirals that feel like they're turning if stared at too long. She tries not to touch it, but sometimes it feels warm when she walks past. Other times, colder than the rest of the house, even in August. Once she reaches out, not to clean it, not to adjust it, just to see if the surface still feels like glass. It doesn't. It feels like breath. In the bedroom, her vanity mirror tilts slightly left. No matter how many times she centers it. By nightfall, it's off again. She catches her reflection brushing hair she didn't have. Not her haircut, not her movements. A longer sweep, gentle, rhythmic, loving. She doesn't own a brush like that. She never has. And when she opens the drawer beneath the mirror, it's empty, but it smells like rose oil, like lavender, like someone else's bedtime. She starts draping cloth over it at night. But every morning, the cloth is folded neatly at the foot of the bed. The bathroom is worse. Steam from the shower never fogs the mirror. Instead, it reveals handprints. Small, delicate, too high to belong to her. Fingers spaced wide, like someone resting against it to whisper. Sometimes, letters begin to form. I see an L, maybe a G. They never finish. They vanish when she blinks. She considers covering it in tape or taking it down altogether. But when she tries, the screws won't turn. The screwdriver slips. Her hand bleeds. She doesn't try again. There's a small, cracked mirror behind the kitchen cupboard. One she didn't place there, tucked behind old dishes and sealed mason jars full of nothing. It reflects the room correctly, but always in dusk. Even at noon, the image it shows is dim, gold-tinted, and too quiet. One night, while pouring tea, she looks into it and sees a figure standing behind her, hair braided, dress loose at the collar, pale hands folded in front like she's waiting for something. She turns. Nothing, just her own breath, fast and white in the kitchen's summer heat. When she looks back, the mirror shows an empty room, but the braid still swings slightly in the reflection, like someone just turned their head. She goes to town for answers, walks into the antique store, and asks the old man at the counter if he knows anything about the house's previous owners. He squints. "You're the girl in the mirror house," he says. She doesn't respond. He tells her it was once owned by the Holly's family, a wife and child. The husband disappeared during the war. Some say, the man whispers, leaning in. She went mad after he left. Started talking to her own reflection. Said it remembered things she hadn't lived yet. He shrugs. Glass doesn't forget, he adds. It just waits. She buys a candle she doesn't need, thanks him, and leaves quickly. That night, she covers every mirror in the house. Blankets, towels, bedsheets. But she forgets her phone screen. The lock screen lights up in the dark. And for a moment, she sees herself staring back. But it's not her eyes. Too wide, too bright. And she's mouthing something her real mouth isn't saying. She drops the phone. The screen cracks. The face disappears. But she swears it smiled. By morning, the towels have all fallen. Not in heaps, but neatly folded. Each placed at the foot of a mirror. Each folded the exact same way. She checks the attic for drafts, for pests, for logic. Instead, she finds a small silver mirror tucked into a corner. Its glass is dark, nearly black. But when she looks into it, she sees a garden, overgrown, wild, full of humming bees and swaying branches. She's never seen that garden before, but it looks familiar, like something from a story she told herself as a child. The next day, she finds dirt on her shoes, damp fresh, and a petal stuck in her sock. She dreams again, not of stairs, this time of a woman sitting at the vanity. Her back is to her. She brushes her hair slowly, methodically. In the mirror, the woman's face is hers, but younger, paler, smiling. The reflection turns first. Not the woman, just the reflection. And it says, without lips moving, "You're almost home." She wakes with her hand raised, brushing through empty air. She tries to take a photo of the mirrors, to prove something, anything. But every photo shows something different. Sometimes it's just the room, dim and lifeless. Sometimes it's her, staring directly into the lens, even though she's standing behind it. In one photo, there's a child, standing just outside the frame, wearing a black dress, braids down her back. She deletes it. It reappears 3 times. Eventually, she stops covering the mirrors, not out of peace, out of surrender. They reflect more truth than memory now. She sees herself crying before she knows she's sad, bleeding before the cut appears, laughing when her lips are still. And sometimes, most terrifyingly, she sees nothing at all. No reflection, just an empty room, like she's not here yet, like she's still arriving. The first time, it's just a sprig of rosemary, laid carefully on the porch rail, damp with morning fog. No note, no ribbon, just the herb bruised at the stem, like it had been clutched too tightly before it was let go. She assumes it blew in from somewhere nearby. A fallen scrap from a neighbor's garden, maybe. She picks it up. It smells sharp, green and pungent, and strangely warm. For a moment, she sees something behind her eyes. A dining room, long table, empty chairs, candles burned halfway down, a place set with her name written on the card. She drops the rosemary. The scent lingers. The next morning, there's a daisy chain, not woven like a child might. This one is precise, symmetrical, each stem looped and knotted with exact tension. It sits in the center of the welcome mat. The words "welcome back" are barely visible beneath the petals. She looks up and down the street, empty, no footprints, no sound of cars, just wind pushing a single leaf in slow spirals. She picks up the chain. It's warm. By the time she throws it in the trash, her hands are shaking. On the 3rd morning, a lock of hair, human light brown, slight wave, tied with a strip of black ribbon. It's left in a clay bowl, one she's never seen before, placed gently on the bottom step. She doesn't touch it, not at first. She calls the florist in town, pretending to inquire about a delivery mix-up. The woman on the other end goes silent when she describes the offerings. Then softly, "Those aren't gifts, dear. They're warnings, old traditions. We called them farewells for the living." She asks what that means. The florist sighs. "Someone's mourning you before you're gone." She burns the hair that night. Outside, far from the porch, a small, dry fire, no wind. But the ribbon refuses to burn. It turns blacker, yes, but never curls, never crumbles, just deepens into a void of fabric, like it's remembering something it shouldn't. She buries it. In the morning, it's back in the bowl. But now, the bowl is sitting on the windowsill. She begins locking her doors twice, then 3 times. She stacks a chair under the knob, places salt at the thresholds, not out of belief, but instinct. That old, animal part of the brain that recognizes ritual even when reason does not. Still, the offerings arrive. One day, it's a bundle of rue. Another, a thistle tied with string. Then a dried apple pierced with cloves, shaped like a heart, rotted at the core. Each time she discards them, they return, not as fresh, but not forgotten either, wilted watching, as if the flowers themselves remember being touched. The neighbors won't speak about it. She asks the mailman. He shrugs too quickly. The woman at the diner says, "Must be kids playing tricks." But her smile dies before it reaches her eyes. Only the butcher mutters something odd. "Sometimes grief knocks first," he says, slicing too close to his thumb. Then he adds, "Sometimes it doesn't." Her dreams change. Now she hears weeping. Not loud, not sobbing. Just the sound of someone trying not to cry. Muffled by the door. Soft, heartbreaking in its restraint. She wakes with the blankets tangled around her feet. The front door creaks slightly open, though she knows she locked it. There's a new bundle left, just inside. This one isn't herbs. It's a photograph, old sepia-toned, creased. A woman standing on the same porch, holding a daisy chain. Behind her, the window shows a shape watching from inside. The woman looks almost like her, but not quite, and the photo is labeled in faded ink, "Claire before the rain." That's not her name, but the daisy chain is looped around the photo like a crown. She stops discarding the gifts, not out of surrender, but caution. She begins cataloging them, photographing them, laying them out on the dining table, row after row of mourning, alive, drying, dying. It becomes a shrine she never asked for, one that grows without permission. And at night, the weeping continues. Now it's closer. Now it's calling her name. Not the one she uses. The other name. The one she's only seen written once. In ink. On a photo she never took. She asks the library if there's any record of a Claire Hollies. The woman behind the desk hesitates, then says softly, "No, but there's a Claire Elwyn. Lived here years ago." She shows her the archive photo. Same woman, same house, same eyes. Died at 27. No cause listed, just mourned by all. She is 27. When she returns home, the table is bare. Every flower, every bowl, every lock of hair gone. But on the wall above the fireplace, someone has drawn a wreath in ash. Inside the ring, a single word scratched deep into the plaster. Soon. She doesn't sleep that night. She waits for the weeping. It doesn't come, only silence, and the sound of a door closing softly, somewhere inside the house. She tries to leave again. Car won't start. Phone shows static. Road bends back toward home. But her porch is empty now. No daisy chain, no herbs. Only a shallow indent on the bottom step, as if someone knelt there all night, waiting to be let in. She dreams one last time. This time the door opens. She sees herself standing there, older, eyes hollow, arms full of roses. She lays them at her own feet and says, "I'm sorry for what we forgot. The basement door has no key, no handle, just an old brass latch, rubbed smooth by fingers that must have opened it 1,000 times. None of them hers. She never opened it, not out of fear, out of knowing some doors aren't meant to be opened, not because something's behind them, but because something used to be and might still remember the way out. The first few weeks, she ignored it. The door sat at the end of the hallway. Quiet, plain, closed. The kind of door the eyes slide past when counting exits. But lately it hums, only when she's near it, only when her name is still fresh on her tongue. It begins on a Tuesday night. She's brushing her teeth. The house silent, except for the sound of water spiraling down porcelain. She spits, wipes the corner of her mouth, and freezes. There, under the brush of the faucet, beneath the click of the drain, a sound. Soft, low, almost musical. Her name, whispered like a lullaby through dry lips, drawn out gentle, as though someone was rocking the word back and forth, comforting it. Allah. She turns the faucet off. Silence too pure. She walks to the hall. The basement door waits. The latch dangles, slightly ajar. She doesn't remember hearing it open, but she remembers shutting it. The next morning, it's closed again. No wind, no guests, no explanation. She places a chair in front of it. Not heavy, just symbolic. But that night, the chair is moved. Not knocked over, not shoved, just relocated. A few feet to the left, facing the wall like it had been used. And the latch, gently swinging, as if something had just slipped inside. She dreams of humming, not music, memory. That half-melody mothers hum when the world is heavy and the child won't sleep. She hears it echoing through the walls, vibrating in the nails, and a voice calling her name, yes, but not for her, for the younger her, the one who used to sleep with a nightlight, the one who whispered things into her pillow, hoping no one would hear. The voice remembers those whispers. The voice recites them back. She starts keeping lights on all night, but the hum grows louder when the house glows, as if whatever's beneath the floor prefers darkness, but learns to speak in electric hums. She plays white noise, but it flickers. The sound bends, shifts into breathing, and the breathing turns into syllables, into secrets, into stories she told herself to survive. The basement stairs are steep. She learns this when she finally opens the door, not by choice, but by compulsion. A windless whisper behind her ear. It's time to come back down. Wood groans as she descends. Each step feels like a memory pressed into old timber. The light switch doesn't work, but the basement isn't dark. It glows faintly blue, like moonlight through water. Dust hangs in the air like ash. It doesn't move when she walks, and the floor damp stone, covered in circles. Not chalk, not paint, just discolored stone, patterns of standing, of packing, of waiting. She doesn't go further. She turns, climbs fast, shuts the door, nails it closed, burns sage, prays. But the next night, she hears humming again. This time, it finishes the song. She finds old photos tucked in a drawer she never opened. Photos of a child, pale, wide-eyed, always facing away from the camera. Hair in pigtails, holding rosemary or a daisy chain. In one photo, the girl is kneeling on the basement steps. Behind her, barely visible, a shadow with a mouth. Not eyes, not a face, just a mouth, open, waiting. The back says, Ella, age 6, favorite place, the cellar. She never lived here as a child. She knows she didn't, but the photo says otherwise. She starts hearing things during the day. Not words, not voices, just movement, shifting weight, a sigh, the sound of old rope dragging across stone. She throws her mattress into the living room, sleeps there, windows open, radio loud. But the voice follows. Now it knows the way out. The florist knocks one morning, pale, nervous. She hands over a bundle of herbs. Not fresh, not for display. Dried morning sticks, wrapped in hair. I don't know why, she says, but But I dreamed of you and the cellar door. Ella tries to laugh. It comes out hollow. Is it cursed? She asks. The woman doesn't smile. No, worse. What's worse than cursed? The florist looks away. Familiar. That night, the humming stops. Not because it's over, because something is listening now. She tiptoes to the door. Not because she wants to, because something is calling her name in her own voice. But not current. The voice is younger, sharper, trembling. Please let me out. I don't want to be her anymore. She doesn't open the door. She kneels, presses her ear to the wood. She hears herself crying. A child's breath, shaky, too tired to scream. I'm still down here, the voice whispers. You left me down here when you forgot. She places a mirror at the base of the door. The reflection shows stairs. Just stairs. But she swears something, moving on the landing. Not walking, crawling like it forgot how legs work. And the mirror fogs from the inside. She pulls it away, and her handprint remains, smaller than her real hand. A perfect match for the girl in the photo. She doesn't sleep for 3 nights. By the 4th, exhaustion wins. She dreams again, but this time, she's looking down at herself, curled on the floor outside the door. She sees a second door beneath the house, one that was never nailed shut, never noticed. It opens, and the voice that comes out, it isn't hers. Not anymore. The town is too quiet for morning. No shrieks of play. No slamming of school bus doors. No bicycle tires against wet pavement. Just birdsong, slow, sparse, and the low hum of something forgotten. She walks to the edge of her porch and looks out. The street is empty, as always. Not even a shoe. Not even a hopscotch scrawl fatting in chalk. Just asphalt, cracked by time, and lawns that have never been trampled. There are no children here. There never have been, not since she arrived. But sometimes she hears laughter, thin, high, and drifting, the way dreams slip through open windows. The playground is the first place she checks, the one down by the edge of the creek, fenced in by ivy that wraps the swings like vines around a throat. No footprints in the bark mulch, no indentations in the slide, but the merry-go-round turns once as she steps through the gate. Not fast, not startled, just slow, continuous, like someone gave it one last push a long time ago, and it hasn't stopped yet. She finds a single mitten near the base of the climbing frame, too small for any adult, faded purple, a child's name written inside the tag in faint ink. Me. She takes it home. The next morning, it's gone. The school sits near the church. Its windows still carry decals from holidays that never passed. Paper snowflakes, pumpkins, stars. Inside, desks are arranged in perfect rows, too perfect, too untouched. She wipes dust from one. The pattern beneath her fingers doesn't match wood grain. It's circular, a ring etched faintly, like a child's head had been resting there for years, unmoved. On the blackboard, a list of names, chalk faded but still readable. Me, Oliver, Lisa, Jonah, Harper. At the bottom, attendance 0/25, and beneath it, in smaller chalk, we are still listening, be good. That night, rain comes soft and slanted. She stares out the window, following the streaks of water, until one streak moves against the flow. She leans closer, and there it is, a handprint, small, 5 fingers pressed from the outside. Fresh, she steps onto the porch. Nothing, no child, no footprints. But the air smells like crayons, like old glue, like birthday cake gone stale. She wipes the glass. The handprint remains. At the library, she tries to lose herself. Books offer distraction, proof of sanity, facts. She checks out a novel, something light, forgettable. The librarian, an older woman with a face like folded parchment, tilts her head as she scans it. And something for your daughter. The words land cold. She pauses. I don't have a daughter. The woman frowns gently. But she was just in here, picked out 3 picture books, said her name was me. She doesn't respond. She takes the receipt, walks home slowly. She never told anyone about the mitten. That evening, her bedroom closet smells like soil. Not dirt, not rot, but soft, damp soil. Like after spring rain, like graves before the headstone arrives. She opens the door. There on the floor is the mitten. Faint purple, faded ink, me. Inside it, a single daisy, pressed flat, still alive. She brings it to the cemetery. The headstones near the back are smaller, less ornate, names carved short and simple. She doesn't know what she's looking for, but she finds it anyway. A stone with a single name, me Elwyn. No dates, no quote, just the name, and a faint outline of a teddy bear etched in the corner. Someone placed a crayon at the base, half used, red. She doesn't remember placing it there, but when she turns to leave, she feels fingers brush her palm. Tiny, cold, curious. She doesn't turn back. She walks faster. The red crayon is in her coat pocket when she gets home. The following days blur. Books move from the shelf. Drawings appear on the fridge, childlike sketches of houses, stick figures, and always one smaller figure standing apart. She stops touching them. They disappear anyway. She begins hearing footsteps in the hallway. Light, uncertain, then bolder. They never run, just walk, just exist. One night, she hears a voice. High-pitched, familiar. Are you still sad? She doesn't answer. She doesn't sleep. The next morning, the cereal box is open. Milk spilled in a cartoon face across the counter. She finds a second mitten beside the sink. She confronts the librarian, grabs her arm. Who was me? The woman's eyes dim, not in fear, but in memory. She was one of the last, before the silence. What happened? We stopped remembering them, one by one, and they stopped being. The woman leans closer, but they remember us, and they come back through whoever listens. She doesn't want to listen anymore, but the house is louder now. Laughter in the walls, knocking under the bed, children's songs in the shower drain. She covers the mirrors again. They don't reflect her anymore. Only classrooms, only drawings, only the back of a little girl's head, braids swaying as she hums. She tries to leave. The car doesn't start. Again, the phone dials, but doesn't ring. The street outside is lined with chalk figures now. Dozens, arms raised, smiling, all facing her door. That night, she kneels beside her bed. Not to pray, to beg. Please, she whispers. What do you want? And a whisper answers from the closet. We want to be remembered. When she turns on the porch light, the chalk drawings are gone. But the welcome mat is covered in tiny handprints, all facing inward. The cemetery doesn't have a gate, just 2 leaning fence posts. and a broken arch where a sign used to hang. Now, only chains of rust dangle from the iron, swaying when there's no wind. She doesn't plan to enter. Not really. But the path pulls, the trees lean in, and when her feet touch the dirt, it feels familiar. Soft, yielding, like it has held her weight before. The grass is patchy here. Not wild, just tired. Gravestones lean at odd angles, some swallowed by earth, others cracked clean through. Names worn down by weather and time. She walks among them, scanning names without reading. Just letters, just presence, just proof of how many have ended here. Some have flowers, plastic, frozen in perfect bloom. Others have offerings that don't make sense, toys, rusted keys, a photograph of an eye. And then she sees it. A headstone tucked behind a lopsided tree, almost hidden. It doesn't catch her attention. It calls it. She steps through ivy and kneels. The stone is older than the others, covered in moss, its surface bruised by time and memory. But the letters underneath are untouched, like the stone forgets to age. Her name, full name, middle included, spelled exactly as she signs it, and beneath it a date, 3 weeks from today. The numbers burn into her vision, like the afterimage of lightning. She blinks once, twice. It doesn't change. She reads it aloud, quietly, as if to undo it by voice. But the name stays, and the date does too. She stumbles backward, trips over a low stone, dirt in her palms, scratches on her knees. The birds stop chirping, and from somewhere to her left, she hears footsteps, slow, steady, dragging something soft. The caretaker appears from behind the chapel ruins. Tall, thin, a face like wood left in water too long, clothes too clean, eyes too still. He doesn't speak at first, just looks down at the stone, then at her, and then looks away. She asks him, "Is this a joke?" He doesn't answer. She asks again, louder. He flinches, not from volume, from recognition. "You shouldn't be here," he says finally. Her throat is dry. "That's my name." He nods once, slowly. "I know." She asks who buried that person. "No one," he says. "Then who carved it?" He sighs. "No one remembers that either. We just tend the names when they show up." She stands. "This is a mistake," she says, forcing the ground to feel real beneath her feet. "It has to be." The caretaker doesn't argue, doesn't comfort. He just murmurs, almost to himself, "You're the last one to come back." She returns home, washes her hands 3 times, scrubs the dirt from her skin until it stings, but she can still feel the cold of the stone in her bones. That night, she dreams of a procession, not a funeral, something older, quieter, people walking in a single line, faces covered, hands holding candles with no flames. She stands among them. When she looks down, her hands hold nothing, but her arms are crossed over her chest. The date haunts her. She sees it on receipts, on digital clocks, in book margins. Each time she blinks, and it's gone. But her breath stays short. Her heart beats strange. She starts marking the calendar, scratching off each day with a nail, watching the circle shrink. 17 days, 16, 14. She tries to leave town again. The road now loops. She drives past her own mailbox 3 times before pulling over. When she steps out, the cemetery is just across the field, as if it moved to meet her. She visits it again, Not because she wants to, because she dreams of being buried alive every night. And each time, she hears her own voice counting down. The grave is still there, still hers, but now a candle sits beside the stone, burnt halfway down. No wax trail, just ash, like it's been burning for years, and a photo tucked against the base. A child, her, younger, maybe 6, wearing a black dress, standing in front of this exact stone. Smiling, she demands answers. The librarian won't speak. The florist crosses herself. The man at the gas station won't make eye contact, only mutters. You found it then. She asks what they mean. He shrugs. Some names just belong to the soil. Some people forget until it remembers them. She yells, asks how they let her move in, how they knew. He only says, we didn't let you. You always come back. The next morning, her calendar is blank. Not erased, just gone. The page torn off, burnt edges. A petal rests where the date used to be. White paper thin from a funeral lily. She digs through old records, finds property deeds, obituaries, faded photos. Her name appears again and again, in old print, on envelopes, on plaques. Different decades, same house, same name. Each time slightly altered. A middle initial added, a maiden name changed. But the core remains. She finds a black and white photo of a woman in front of the house. Eyes like hers, smile too wide, standing beside a man who's already blurred away. The back reads, Ella before she remembered. She sleeps in the living room now, avoids mirrors, avoids time. But the house hums louder each night, not with sound, with expectation. The floorboards don't creak when she walks. They shift, like they're moving to accommodate her. The walls breathe. The shadows grow longer, even when the lights are on. She whispers the date to herself, like a spell. 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks. But the voice in her head answers. No less now. She returns to the grave one final time. She brings a hammer, a chisel, fire, determined to erase the name, to carve it out. But when she gets there, it's already different. The date is today. The stone is warm, fresh, waiting. She reaches out, and the moss pulls back on its own. As her fingers brush the name, the ground beneath her softens, not to swallow her, but to welcome her home. It begins with a stain, small, unassuming, just a patch of darkness at the base of the bathroom sink, the kind of shadow you'd overlook in poor lighting. She wipes it with her thumb. It doesn't budge. She tries soap, then vinegar, then bleach. The mark only deepens, darkening, until it resembles a pool of ink, still and watching. That night the pipes groan, not in protest, but in mourning. In the morning, the water runs black, not murky, not rusty, black, thick, slow, like something pulled from the bottom of a well that never saw light. It stains the porcelain as it spirals down, leaves behind shapes she swears rearrange themselves when she's not looking. She cups it in her hands. It's cold, heavy. She smells it. Not sewage, not decay, but soil, damp earth, moss and roots, and something older, like forgotten lullabies, sung through teeth. She calls a plumber. No one answers. She tries 3 more. Leaves voicemails that feel foolish the moment she speaks. I think something's wrong with the water, she says. But what she means is, I think the house is bleeding. She walks to her neighbor's porch, knocks. The curtain shifts. The door never opens. She calls again. Please, just come look. I don't know what to do. But silence replies, the kind that feels deliberate. She fills a glass to take to town as proof. But the moment the black water settles in the cup, it turns clear. The sink, however, remains stained, veins of ink branching like roots across porcelain. She dips a finger in again. The temperature drops instantly. Then something grips her wrist. Hard, cold, desperate. She jerks back, slamming into the mirror. No reflection, only steam curling around her like breath. She doesn't sleep. She listens. The dripping begins at midnight, steady, slow. She checks every faucet, every pipe. Nothing leaks, nothing drips. But the sound continues, just behind the walls, like water trapped in old lungs. At dawn, her kitchen sink follows suit. The water flows black. This time it speaks, not aloud but inside. A voice like stone scraping across stone, whispering through the metal drain. We remember drowning. She drops the mug in her hand. It shatters like bone. The black water splashes across her feet, freezing, clinging. She doesn't move until the sun touches the window. Only then does the water slither away, vanishing down the drain as if it had never been there. She rips the pipes apart herself, wrench in hand, hands bleeding, eyes wide. Under the sink, the metal is slick, the copper corroded black. Inside the pipe, hair, knotted, braided, wet, tied with a familiar black ribbon. She drops it, runs water. It comes out clean, but only once. That night, she dreams of bathtubs, row after row, in an empty room that hums like held breath, each one filled to the brim, not with water, with dark shapes just below the surface, hair floating, fingers rising, eyes open. None blink. One smiles. In the morning, she finds puddles in the hallway, small, round still, not from leaks, from footsteps, tiny feet, bare, wet, leading from the bathroom to the bedroom and stopping at her bed. She throws the covers off, checks every corner, every creak. Nothing there, but the pillow is damp. She returns to the cemetery, finds the caretaker again. He doesn't speak, but she holds out the ribbon soaked and knotted. Who drowned, she asks. He shakes his head, not in denial, but sorrow. This land remembers, he says. Remembers what? He looks up at the clouds, the ones buried without peace. She feels it then behind her. The weight of eyes, the ache of memory. The water's changing, she whispers. It's not changing, he replies. It's remembering. The town well has long been sealed, boards nailed, rusted chain wrapped in warning. But she sees droplets on the edge of the wood, fresh, cold. She touches one, hears a voice whisper back, "You let us in." She doesn't remember when, but the key to the old pump house now sits on her table, wrapped in twine. She never found it before, but it was always hers. She opens the basement again. The hum returns. Worse, now it sounds like someone humming underwater, fighting to breathe through the notes. She descends the stairs. Every step is damp. At the bottom, puddles glisten, shapes form and fade. In the corner, a small tub sits. She doesn't know how it got there. Inside, a single child's shoe, soaked, still dripping. She brings it to the surface, leaves it on the porch. In the morning, 2 shoes sit there, both dry. water in the sink runs clear again. For a while, the pipes begin whispering names. Not hers, others. Me, Jonah, Claire, Lisa. She recognizes them from the chalk drawings, from the graveyard, from the mirror. Each name trails into another, like stories drowned mid-sentence. She plugs every drain. Still the sound travels, not through water, through walls. The final night, she wakes to silence. No hum, no drip, just stillness. She walks to the bathroom. The mirror is fogged. The sink glows faintly. She leans in. The water is black again, but not moving. She stares deep into it. Her reflection doesn't return, only ripples. Then a face, not hers, smiling, waiting. She backs away, but the voice follows. One of us still remembers being you. And long after the faucets are sealed and the drains filled, the sound of dripping never stops, not from the pipes, but from behind the glass. The house across the street should not exist. Not anymore. It burned down 8 years ago. A quiet, middle-of-the-night blaze that took nothing but wood and silence. No bodies, no survivors, no reason, just flame, sudden and clean, like the structure had finally exhaled its ghosts. She knows this because the locals told her. In hushed tones, in fragments, ashes by morning, the librarian said. It never even screamed, whispered the man at the diner. The lot has remained untouched, overgrown, still, a blackened foundation circled by ivy and weeds. Until tonight, it begins with a flicker, not lightning, not reflection, but a steady glow behind the upstairs window, the one that once faced her bedroom directly. She stares through her own curtain slit, light faint yellow, unmoving. Then movement, a silhouette, tall, thin, packing in slow, careful strides from one side of the window to the other, always turning at the exact same spot, always pausing just long enough to glance her way. She steps back. The curtain falls into place, and behind her, the faint sound of music begins. A waltz, faint, crackling, not from her stereo, not from the radio, from somewhere else. It warps slightly, as if played from a warped vinyl, slowed at the edges, stretched at the refrain. She doesn't recognize the melody, but her feet shift slightly to the rhythm, like they remember. In the morning, the lot is a ruin again. No light, no music, no silhouette. She walks across the street. Weeds crunch beneath her boots. Char marks still stain the soil, but the air smells like fresh tobacco and rosewater. She climbs onto what remains of the porch. Under her foot, a plank creaks. She peels it back. Beneath it, a record sleeve, unburned, pristine. The cover is blank, but inside is a vinyl disc, cold and clean. The label says only for the one watching. She doesn't play it, not at first. She leaves it on the kitchen table like a threat. It hums faintly when the house goes quiet. At 3:03 a.m., she hears it not spinning, but singing. The melody follows her through the walls. She begins to hum it in her sleep. She shows the postman a photo of the house from last night. He stares, then drops the photo, his bag with it. Don't ask, he mutters. Don't look. She asks again. He doesn't stop walking. I thought it was done, he whispers. We all did. She plays the record. She needs to know. The player clicks, spins, cracks. The waltz begins, louder now, clearer. But under the music, is something else. Breathing slow, wet, like lungs stitched from smoke. Then a voice, male, soft. Step where I stepped. Turn where I turned. Hold her hand, even if it burns. She lifts the needle. The voice stops. But the music continues, faintly, from upstairs. From a room she hasn't entered in days. The window across the street lights up again. But this time, there are two silhouettes, dancing, locked together, spinning gently. Her shape is familiar. Not in the face, there is no face, but in the posture, the way she tilts her head, the scar above the shoulder. It's her, or it used to be. She walks the street at midnight, to the burned house, but tonight the porch is whole. The door is closed, but not locked. She knocks once. It opens on its own. Inside, dustless. Furniture stands in exact placement, like it never left. Wallpaper peels in floral curls. A chandelier sways slightly, though there's no wind. The record plays from a gramophone in the corner, the same melody, but slower now, as if waiting for her to catch up. And on the walls, photos, dozens, all blurry, but each shows the same two dancers, spinning in place, unmoving. In every photo, one of the faces is hers. She climbs the stairs. One step groans like a name. The light from the upstairs window is soft amber, pooling beneath the door. She knocks. No reply. She opens it. Inside, a ballroom, larger than the house should allow. Mirrored walls, gilded frames, dozens of chandeliers suspended in darkness. And in the center, the two dancers, still swaying, still silent. They don't look at her, but the record begins again, and the male figure lifts his head. No eyes, no mouth, just shadow pressed into a face. He extends a hand. She doesn't remember walking forward, only the moment her fingers touched his. Cold, smooth, familiar. They spin once, twice, and on the third turn, the mirrors blink. Her reflection is still watching from the wall. Mouth open, screaming, silent. Hands pressed flat against the glass. She breaks away, runs down the stairs. The front door is gone. Only walls now. Smoke curls from the corners of the ceiling. But the fire never rises. Only the shadows do, long and tall and waiting. They reach for her, not with hands, but with memory. Pulling, reminding. You were here before, they say. You danced too long. She wakes on her porch. The record is gone, but her hands are black with soot, and her shoes drip water, not ash. The house across the street is ruins again, charred hollow, but now there's a scorch mark on her own front door, like something stepped through fire to knock. She finds the record again, a week later, this time in the attic, still unburned, still humming. On the sleeve, someone's written. She dances now, you're next. And when she turns off all the lights, the silhouette in the upstairs window is still moving. But tonight, it's packing alone and waiting for a partner. She carries her lease with her now, folded, creased, smudged with coffee, tucked in her coat pocket like a tether paper-proof of her identity, of arrival, of ownership. But no one asks to see it. When she holds it out, they smile, the kind of smile reserved for lost children explaining where their mother is. You're mistaken, dear, the librarian says. You were always in that house. She protests, lists facts, recites her old address like scripture. The woman just hums. And yet you're here. At the gas station, her license gets scanned. The clerk pauses, then tilts the screen, shows her. No match found. She tries again. The scanner still beeps, but the screen stays blank. The clerk shrugs. Sometimes the system forgets what it doesn't want to know. He bags her items. See you at home. The diner holds answers, or so she hopes. She slides into the far booth, the one under the wall of photos, the town's brittle memory board. Black and white, sepia, some colorized, birthday hats, fairs, 4th of July sparklers, and then a girl, sitting cross-legged on the diner counter, cake in front of her. Her, same hair, same eyes, the small scar above her lip from when she tripped on a wire fence. But the photo is dated 1996. She was 5 in 1996. But not here, not in this town. She was in another house, another state, another life. Wasn't she? The waitress sees her starring. Cute photo, she says. That was a good party. Who is she? She asks. The waitress frowns. You, hun. She presses. The woman laughs. You've always been here. She walks home in silence. The street seems shorter. Houses lean in. Trees bend toward her, familiar, like old friends waiting to be remembered. She unlocks her door, steps inside. There's mail on the table. She hasn't received mail in weeks. The top envelope is addressed to Miss Elwyn, resident since 1988. She calls her old number, her real one. It rings and rings. A woman answers, her own voice, softer, slightly off. Hello. She says nothing. The voice asks again. She hangs up. The phone doesn't stop buzzing, even after the cord is cut. In her dreams, she's walking through her house, but not as it is. Older, wallpapered, photos on every wall. She opens a door and finds a room full of mirrors. Each one reflects a version of her, all slightly off. One wears a ribbon. Another has her hands folded over her chest. One turns its head too slowly to be natural. None of them blink. And one whispers, "We've missed you." She wakes with her shoes muddy, dirt under her nails, birthday hat on her nightstand, the same one from the photo in the diner. She starts to forget small things, what she came into the room for, which box held the dishes, where she parked the car, then bigger things, the name of the street she grew up on, the smell of her mother's hair, the sound of her own voice in a recording. She rewrites her name over and over in a notebook. It always changes slightly, until eventually it stops changing and just stays hers. The lease disappears. She finds only one page in her drawer now, the property deed, signed in ink, smudged thumbprint, year 1955. Owner Elwyn LME. She closes all the windows that night, not to keep things out, but to keep herself in. The next morning, her reflection mouths a name she doesn't recognize, but answers to anyway. She hears the footsteps before she wakes. Bare, careful, pausing every few boards, always stopping just outside her door. She no longer asks who they belong to. She knows they're hers, the ones she left behind, the ones that never quite stopped. The woman in her dreams is more familiar now, no longer a silhouette, no longer a blur. She wears her clothes, tilts her head the same way, smiles with her teeth, but not kindly. She never speaks, just watches, And when the dream ends, the bedroom door is always cracked open, a single strand of black hair caught in the frame. Not hers, not anymore. The town greets her differently. People wave now, smile, step back as she walks past. Deference, fear, gratitude. It doesn't matter. They see someone when they look at her, even if it's not who she remembers being. She visits the mirror room in her dream again. This time, the mirrors are covered. White sheets, each one pulsing slightly, breathing. She lifts one corner. The reflection is younger, brighter-eyed. It reaches out. So does she. When she touches the glass, she feels cold fingers wrap around hers, and something behind the mirror exhales. Back in the waking world, her voice has changed. Deeper, softer, like wind through velvet. She tries to record herself, but the audio is just humming, low and melodic, the same lullaby from the basement. She checks again, static. A third time, breathing. Always someone else. She finds a note tucked into the floorboards of the attic. Old ink, jagged handwriting. It reads, "She lives through memory, through vacancy, through mouths that forget how to scream." Beneath it, a photograph of her standing in front of the house. Except the background is wrong. The trees younger, the sky tinted yellow with age, and she's wearing a dress she doesn't own. At the diner, a new photo is pinned. Same booth, same eyes, different date. Last Friday. She didn't come here Friday, but the coffee in her kitchen smells like the one they brew, and her lips taste faintly of cherry pie. The house shifts. Rooms grow deeper. Shadows stretch longer. The floorboards no longer creak, they murmur, and mirrors fog when she enters, even if the room is cold, even if she hasn't drawn a breath. She stops fighting it, puts on the ribbon, reads the diary entries carved into the attic beams. He left. She stayed. I waited. One line scratched repeatedly until the wood split. We are not gone. She walks to the cemetery barefoot. The ground is soft. The headstones seem to lean toward her like old friends. At the back, her name is still carved, but beneath it is new text, fresh, unweathered. Here she remembered herself. She turns around and sees the woman from the dream, standing by the trees, smiling, her face exactly the same. But she understands now. It's not her. It's what was left when she forgot, and what returned when the forgetting stopped. They walk toward each other and pass. No touch, no words, just breath shared between fatting bodies. Back home, the mirror is uncovered. She sees herself again, but the eyes are older, wiser, and when she waves, the reflection waves too, but a beat too slow. The final night, she opens every window, lights every candle, sets a place at the table, pours 2 cups of tea. Only one is ever touched. The next morning, the house is empty, but in the mirror, 2 women smile, and when a child walks past the porch, she waves. Only the reflection waves back. And now, when the town speaks her name, it's not in memory, it's in present tense. The name doesn't startle her anymore. When someone calls it from a window, across the street, through a cracked open door, she turns without hesitation, because it fits now, like a glove found in the attic that happens to slide perfectly over her fingers, even though she's sure she's never worn it before. Ella, she no longer corrects them, not because she believes it, but because Resisting it feels like erasing something real, something inevitable. She wakes with her head turned toward the door. She doesn't remember falling asleep like that. But there, just beyond the frame, in the slant of hallway light, is the shape of someone standing. Not walking, not knocking, just standing, watching, and smiling with her teeth. She used to be afraid of the mirror in the hallway. Now she's just careful. She avoids it during twilight, the time between being awake and being believed. It's in those moments that she sees herself smiling, though her mouth is still, or brushing her hair, even when her hands are at her sides. Once she waved, just to see, and her reflection waved back, but not at the same time. The town doesn't look different, but it feels aligned now, like the scenery has been tilted back into place, like she's finally in focus. The bakery knows her order again. The children's books at the library have bookmarks in them, and when she walks past the cemetery, the caretaker tips his hat and murmurs, "Morning, Miss Elwyn." No one stares anymore. They recognize her, even if she's still learning how to recognize herself. She dreams in first person now, not as herself, but as the other her, the before her, the one with ribbons in her hair and soil under her nails, the one who waited by the attic window, night after night, humming lullabies with no lyrics. She remembers rainstorms that haven't fallen yet. She remembers planting a daisy chain under the porch steps. She remembers burying a lock of hair in the floorboards and whispering, "Bring her back, let me finish." There are photos in the attic she didn't put there. She's certain, but her handwriting is on the backs. Winter 1983. Alone again, but hopeful. Spring 1992. I saw her face in the puddle, and one marked only, the moment she let me in. It's a photo of her bedroom mirror, and inside it, two versions of her, standing shoulder to shoulder, both smiling, only one of them blinking. Sometimes she hears humming in her ear, not outside her, within, low, tuneless, like someone waiting for her to remember the melody. She hums it back, and the mirror fogs over like breath on glass. When it clears, the other her is mouthing the same tune. The house accepts her now. No more locked doors, no more misplaced items. The basement is quiet. The water runs clean. Even the flowers bloom slowly, but without dying the next day. But she knows this is not peace. It's preparation. She's not being haunted anymore. She's being made whole. She sits on the porch one evening, watching the house across the street. It remains burned, as it should, ash framed in vines. But the upstairs window catches light at dusk, not from inside, but from memory. And sometimes she sees herself reflected there, not as she is, but younger, with that same faint, crooked smile, the one people remember, even if she doesn't. The townspeople start saying, "Welcome back again," not as a greeting, as a statement of fact. "Didn't think we'd see you again," says the mailman. "We missed you at the festival last year," says the girl at the market. Even the diner has added her name to the wall, freshly printed, hung right beside her older photograph. Same eyes, but the newer smile is deeper, more settled, as if it knows how the story ends. She finds a dress folded in the closet, one she never bought, lace collar, worn hem, stitched with her initials on the inside tag. She holds it to her chest, and the house exhales soft, low, like gratitude. That night, she wears it. Just once, and when she passes the hallway mirror, there are two of her again. But this time, they move together. In her last dream, she stands at the edge of the town square. It's empty, silent, the buildings ghost-like. She walks through it barefoot, unnoticed, and at the far end, she sees a girl, hair in braids, daisy chain in hand. The girl turns. It's her, but younger, simpler, incomplete. The girl smiles and says, "There you are," and steps into her. She wakes before dawn, goes to the mirror, touches the glass. It's warm. Now, when she speaks, her voice echoes slightly in unfamiliar rooms, like someone else is listening through her throat. The people still wave, but only when she smiles first. And sometimes, when she glances sideways, she sees her reflection walking beside her, not mirroring her. They wave together, not in unison, but in rhythm. Like a dance, they've both learned again. She doesn't need to prove she belongs anymore. Not to the house, not to the town, not even to herself. Because she does, because she always did. She was the returning, the repeating, the reminder. She is the echo and the original voice, the ghost and the girl. And when she walks past the mirror now, the glass doesn't just reflect. It remembers, and it waits. Story 2. He says it quietly, like he doesn't want the sentence to stay in the air too long. "I'll see you if I wake up." She barely hears it, but the room hears it. The walls hold their breath. He rolls over. The lamp clicks off, and the silence folds itself back into the room, like bedsheets tucked in too tightly. There's no fight, no final words, no sign of leaving. Just a body beside hers that exhales once, long, relieved, and then never moves again. The night is still, but not asleep. He dreams of feathers. Not birds, not wings. Just a ceiling above him, soft and endless, until it begins to fall. One feather at a time. Then more, faster, until his mouth is full. His eyes sting. He tries to scream, but the air is thick with softness, with weightless pressure. It doesn't feel like flying. It feels like forgetting how to breathe. She wakes at 3:33 a.m. No reason, just that feeling, like the air in the room has changed. He's beside her, still warm, but the weight is different. She closes her eyes. In the hallway, a floorboard shifts. She tells herself it's the house cooling, but the walls are cold. The bed is warm, and he hasn't moved. At sunrise, her fingers brush his side. Still warm, but empty. Not gone, empty. Like something used to be there, but was gently lifted away. She calls his name twice. No answer. The closet door is shut, but she left it open last night. She doesn't remember falling asleep. She only remembers him saying it, like a promise made to someone else. Not to her, not anymore. In the kitchen, the coffee machine blinks. 12:34. Wrong time. He checks her phone, no service. The hallway feels longer, like she has to walk farther to reach the living room. Outside, everything looks the same, but the light has that gray tint, like the world hasn't fully loaded yet. The birds are gone, but feathers cling to the porch rail. She finds his slipper by the back door. Only one, wet, and on the fogged glass, a smear. It looks like a handprint, but stretched. 5 digits too long, too curved, like someone tried to wave while being pulled away. At noon, she checks the sheets again. Still warm, but still know him. She runs the water, watches steam curl. Inside the mirror, her reflection twitches. Not her, not quite. When she looks away, it stays looking. The voicemail plays once, then again. It's not his voice, but it says her name, softly, like someone mouthing it underwater. That evening, she finds a single feather in her mouth. She doesn't gag. She doesn't scream. He just places it on the nightstand, next to the ring he left behind. But he never wore one. The night comes back like a tide. She tries not to sleep, but when she closes her eyes, she sees him again, standing in the hallway, covered in white, smiling like he remembers drowning. The house is quiet, but the silence is heavier now, like it's waiting for something. Maybe for her to say it back. Maybe to answer that whisper, the one he left hanging. I'll see you if I wake up. She doesn't remember unlocking it. His phone was always password protected. 6 digits, no thumbprint. He said it keeps things out. Now it stays open, not just unlocked. Listening, the screen lights up in the dark, like it's breathing, like it knows her gaze is near. And at 3:11 every morning it changes. The first night, she didn't notice. She had placed it face down on the kitchen table, wrapped in the hoodie he left behind. By morning, the screen was on. No apps open, just the background. A photo she'd never seen. Not of him, not of her, but of a bed, empty, lit by amber light from a hallway that shouldn't be there. She checks the metadata. No timestamp, no source, just the file name, under 1 JPG. She dreams that night, but it's not memory. It's not fiction. It's location. She's standing in their bedroom, but everything is off. The walls are a fraction too tall. The door opens inward, not out, and the light has that same amber warmth from the photo. She hears his voice, not loud, not speaking to her, just murmuring, soft and low, like someone on the other end of a phone, mumbling into silence. She turns, but he isn't there, just the phone, buzzing, lit up with her name. She wakes with her hand outstretched, like she'd been holding something. Her own phone lies dead beside the bed. No call log, no dreams recorded. His phone, still on the kitchen table, still unlocked. New background, same bed, now with a figure in it, face away. The file is labeled under 2 JPG. She calls the number, not out of hope, out of need, to break whatever's spinning around her. It rings once, then static, then him, a whisper, "Don't look down." She holds her breath. "Where are you?" A pause, then another whisper, warped like wind underwater. Beneath, click. She doesn't sleep that night. The phone screen glows again at 3:11. The image now shows the figure turned toward the camera. No face, just hair, dark, wet-looking. Something black pooled under the bed. File name, under 3 JPG. She tries to shut it off. The phone won't power down. The screen doesn't crack. It doesn't obey. She puts it in the freezer, wraps it in tin foil, leaves it outside. It comes back to the table the next night, resting atop the same folded hoodie. She hasn't touched the hoodie since. She thinks maybe something else did. One night, she falls asleep with the phone in her hand. She dreams again. This time, she's lying in the bed. The wrong one. The amber hallway flickers. Footsteps pad across the floor, slow, bare, uneven. She feels breath against her cheek, but no voice, just a sound like fabric being torn underwater. She turns her head, and there it is, the phone floating above her chest. Its screen blinks a single word. Beneath, when she wakes, her room is dark, but her chest is cold. Not outside cold, inside cold, like something crawled in through her ribs and nested there. The phone is beside her pillow, still glowing, now with a new file, under 4 mauve. She presses play. No video, just audio, the sound of something climbing stairs. Pausing, breathing, clawing, she buries the phone under loose soil near the tree out back, wraps it in plastic, duct tapes it shut, throws salt over it, because she read somewhere that it matters. That night, her own phone buzzes. Unknown number. No ID. She answers. Silence. Then a click. Then her voice, but warped, distant. Why did you put me here? She doesn't sleep again for a week. 3:11 a.m., 7 days later. She wakes to knocking. Not on the door. Not the window. From inside the house. She follows the sound down the hallway, past the kitchen, into the dark. On the table, his phone. No dirt, no plastic, just dry humming. The screen flashes once, then again, then stays lit. Final file, beneath JPG. It shows the underside of her bed. Something curled there, looking up, eyes open. She closes her phone, locks it, throws it into a drawer. It buzzes anyway. 3:11 again, and on the back of her hand, just above the veins, a small, feathery smudge of ash. It wasn't there yesterday. She doesn't check the photo again. She knows what it's showing now. And when the silence stretches thin enough to hear through, she listens. Because the whisper always returns, and it always says the same thing. Beneath, the phone stopped blinking at 3:11, but the silence that followed was worse. Not peaceful, not healed, just listening. She didn't touch the device for 2 days. Then she made the mistake of checking the app they used to share. Somnus Trace. He had installed it to track his dreams. Said he wanted to map the edges of sleep. Said, I don't think it's just me in there. Now the app has been updated, but she never tapped the update. The icon pulses softly. It used to be navy blue. Now it's bone white. She logs in. His account still exists, but the name is no longer his. It reads, Access point, user remainder. Her breath holds. She scrolls to the audio logs. They aren't his voice. They aren't any voice. Just breathing. Wet, slow, like lungs suspended in syrup. The first file is labeled. Entry 0. I saw the skin open. She plays it. At first, there's nothing. Then distant wind. A child humming. Footsteps packing over gravel that isn't there. And at the 1:45 mark, a whisper. Let me try him now. Her skin prickles. She rewinds. Plays it again. Same voice. But not his. Not hers. Not anyone she's ever known. The second file. Entry 1. He stays asleep when I watch. This one begins with rhythmic static. Almost like breath. Almost like tide. Then a wet scratching sound. Like fingers on velvet. from the other side. Then a sentence. You think death stops memory. A laugh. Then silence. Except it isn't silent. She plays it on loop and raises the volume. And somewhere, buried in the mix, her name, whispered 3 times. Too fast for comfort. Too slow for denial. Her hands shake. She taps account info. The IP address says unknown origin. Sleep time, 3:11 a.m. Wake time, dream quality, nested. Dream participants, 2. There is no way to edit these fields. She tries logging out. The app closes, but doesn't vanish. It reopens itself. She stops sleeping, but the dreams still come. Not hers, his. No, not his. Someone who has his voice now. Someone who is using his name like a door. She wakes with phrases clinging to her like damp fabric. Memory through marrow. Don't blink under the gray. He keeps the stairs warm. She plays one last file. Entry 4. You lock the end. It starts with music. No melody. Just notes collapsing in slow motion. Then a voice, distorted, childlike. She's listening. She never stops. A breath. Then her name again. Then his voice layered beneath it. She has the dream now. Let her hold it. She screams and throws the phone. It lands screen first on the floor. Uncracked. Still playing. She tries deleting the app. The icon melts mid-tap. Slides down the screen like sap. And from the speaker, static. Only not random. It spells something in sound. Morse. She looks it up. The sequence says, Dreamer 3 unconfirmed. Need anchor. Keep her in. The phone screen goes black. For once merciful. Still normal. Until the moment she turns out the lights. Then from the kitchen, a soft hum. The charging chime. Like someone plugged it in. Like it was tired. She wakes one morning with something on her chest. Not weight, not pain, just presence. She opens her eyes. The phone is lying there. Screen lit. No icons. Just a countdown. 03:11:03. It loops back every time. Never reaches 0. She logs in again. She shouldn't. The user profile now reads, she is dreaming back. All audio files are locked, but a text file appears. Untitled. She opens it. One line only. You let me in when you called him. The cursor blinks, then begins to type. Do you want to dream together tonight? She deletes the app, changes phones, moves cities. But on the first night in the new apartment, the window glows faintly at 3:11. Her new phone chirps once, and there it is, a folder labeled remainder. Inside 5 files, entry 5 through entry 9. She doesn't open them, but she hears her name, coming from beneath the bed, where no phone should be, and somewhere inside the screen, where code should be, something else is sleeping. And it's learning to dream in her name. The room smells of lavender and detergent, a chemical piece layered over absence. He's changed the bedding 3 times now, twice in rage, once in a kind of reverence, as if stripping the mattress could strip time backward with it. But the pillow is stubborn. It should have fluffed back to its original shape. It should lie smooth, unbothered, untouched. Yet every morning, when she walks in, it bears the shape of his head. Not vaguely, not metaphorically. Exactly the same dip, the same slight curve where his jaw used to rest, like memory pressed into cotton. She doesn't cry anymore, not because she's strong, but because something else is crying for her. She can feel it every dawn, leaking through the fabric. The first time, she assumed it was her. Grief, maybe, sleep-drooled tears. She blamed the humidifier, then the window. But when she pressed her hand into the center, it wasn't damp. It was soaked. Not wet like water, wet like something old, something cold, something that waited too long to be touched. She dried it under sunlight, left it hanging like a ghost on the line. It came in heavier. That night, she stayed awake, laid in bed beside it, pretended to sleep. At 4:13 a.m., the mattress shifted. Not from hurry, not from wind. She didn't look. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ceiling, but she felt the shape return beside her, weightless but present, the pressure of someone who was there but wasn't, breathing without breath. When the alarm went off at 4:30, the pillow was flat again. Just a pillow, just foam, just a mistake of the tired mind. Except the room smelled different. Not lavender, not detergent, but him, that strange, earthy scent he carried after midnight walks. Rain in his collar, bark on his sleeves. She turned the pillow over. There in the stitching a hair, curled short, dark, the kind she buried in the bathroom, trash 3 weeks ago. She should throw it out, but the thought claws inside her chest. What if it's the only way he knows how to return? She begins marking the time. Every night at 4:13, the dip reappears, sometimes deeper, sometimes almost twitching. Once it trembled. She bought a motion sensor camera, set it up on a shelf. At 4:12, it shut off. At 4:15, it turned back on. The footage, 12 minutes of static, followed by a single frame. The pillow sunken, a shadow leaning over it. No face, no body, just the implication of one, like breath held behind glass. She emailed the manufacturer. They said the timestamp didn't match reality. The camera recorded at 4:13, yes, but not of that day, of a day 5 years ago, a day he hadn't yet met her. She opens the closet where she hid his things, finds a scarf, the one he wore during their first winter together. It still smells like him, and she wonders, if the pillow remembers, what else does? The sheets begin to wrinkle, only on his side. The comforter folds down by itself. One night, she finds an impression on the mattress knees, as if someone sat at the edge and just stayed, watching. She calls his name once, whispering it to the dark. No reply, only the distant sound of breath, drawn where no lungs remain. When she dreams, it's of the bed, empty, then not. She never sees him, only hears the sound of shifting fabric, the creak of the frame, the soft sigh of a pillow, accepting weight it shouldn't know. She wakes one morning and finds the pillow gone, not on the floor, not in the laundry. Hours later, she discovers it on his old side of the closet, wrapped in the scarf, and cold. She touches it and hears him whisper her name, but from inside her hand. From then on, she leaves it there, and every night, she swears the closet door opens just a little wider, just enough for the light to hit the pillow, just enough for her to see the fabric bend, as if kissed by memory. The smell of lavender fades. The scent of him returns. One night, she tries to sleep in another room. The guest room. She bolts upright at 4:13 a.m. Not from a dream, from pressure. Across her chest, a weightless weight. The pillow is in her lap. She doesn't scream. She doesn't cry. She only whispers, "I miss you." The pillow exhales, and in the hush that follows, the room leans slightly, as if making space for someone who never really left. She speaks slowly, not out of fear, but reverence, as if numbing the dreams might resurrect something. She tells the therapist everything, the soft drowning, the static whispers, the warmth that lingers in his pillow long after morning. How the phone lights up at 3:11 a.m. with a word she never typed. The therapist, Dr. Brenner, listens at first. Eyeglasses perched like a fragile truth, clipboard in lap, a practiced tilt of the head. "And you say these began after he disappeared?" She nods, "But they're not mine." Dr. Brenner doesn't answer, just clicks her pen. "I don't think he's gone," she adds. "I think he's dreaming, still, somewhere." Click another pen mark, then silence. The office smells like mint tea and old carpet. Rain whispers against the windows. The lamp hums. Outside, cars pass as if the world is still happening. But inside, the quiet gets heavier. Dr. Brenner rises, walks to the filing cabinet without a word. Her hand trembles slightly as she opens the drawer labeled R. She pulls a file, not hers, and flips it open. Her face changes. "I've seen this before," she says quietly. The girl blinks. Someone else. A patient, years ago. Same dreams. Same phrase on the phone. But his word was below. A pause. What happened to him? Dr. Brenner doesn't look up. She closes the file, locks the drawer. Her glasses reflect the lamp glow. Her voice is lower now, measured. "He stopped dreaming." The girl exhales, but it feels wrong. Final, like the ending of a song played in reverse. Dr. Brenner moves back to her chair, but not to sit. Instead, she picks up her prescription pad, writes nothing, and tears the page anyway. Then flips it, writes one word, slides it across the desk. Recursion. The girl stares at it. What does it mean? Dr. Brenner doesn't explain. She only takes off her glasses and rubs her eyes. They twitch left, right, as if stuck in a pattern. Like REM. Like watching something behind her eyelids she can't wake from. "I can't see you again," she says. "But I'm sorry. I shouldn't have listened." The girl stands, trembling. "You asked me to tell you, and I regret it." She leaves in silence, clutching the page. Outside, the rain has stopped. The world feels muffled, distant. That night, the phone buzzes again. 3:11 a.m. No message this time. Just a low hum, like breath caught between wires. She turns it face down and goes to sleep anyway. In her dream, she sees Dr. Brenner, eyes closed, mouth open, whispering the word recursion through water. And when she wakes, the paper on her nightstand has changed. The word is still there, but now it's written in her handwriting, and beneath it, faintly, barely visible unless tilted into the dark. Session 2, see you soon. She wakes without knowing she was ever asleep. The room is familiar but wrong. The walls are painted the same faded cream, and the window lets in the same hesitant light, but the doorknob is on the opposite side. And the mirror over the dresser, it blinks. Not literally, not with lids or lashes, but it pulses faintly, like a breath held and released behind glass. She turns her head to look away and sees her reflection still staring forward. It lags, watches, smiles, just barely. She doesn't remember falling asleep last night, doesn't remember climbing into this version of the bed. But her hands are folded perfectly on her stomach, like they've been placed. Her legs are tucked side by side. Her hair, she never leaves it loose. But here, it fans out across the pillow like dark water. When she moves, the mattress doesn't creak. The silence here is too careful, too rehearsed. She whispers his name once, just once. No echo follows, but the mirror's surface ripples, as if stirred by breath she didn't exhale. Down the hallway, one she swears was never part of her apartment, light flickers. Yellow, then blue, then something too pale to name. The walls hum like distant tuning forks. She walks slowly, heel to toe, and every step seems to rewind itself a fraction behind her. A delay, a loop. There's a door at the end of the corridor. It doesn't belong. The wood is older than the house. Its handle bears a symbol, an eye split down the center, pupil drawn twice. She reaches for it. Inside is a room she has never seen, but her body knows how to move in it. She glides to the window without thinking. Her hand pulls the lace curtain back in the same rhythm someone taught her long ago. The breeze carries the scent of chrysanthemums and something burnt. A small photograph rests on the windowsill. A boy stands in the center, grinning. Behind him is a hallway, the same hallway, this hallway. Her name is written on the back of the photo, but it's not her handwriting. It's looping older, dated 12 years before she was born. When she blinks, the boy in the photo changes. Not visibly, but the space around him warps. The shadows cast by his shoulders shift the opposite direction. His smile now looks stretched, wider than it should be, almost mirrored. She whispers again, but it isn't his name this time. It's hers, and it doesn't sound right in this place. The mirror in the hallway reflects her differently now. Not younger, not older, just wrong. Her eyes are too light. Her mouth doesn't quite match the movements she makes. And when she breathes, the reflection holds still. This time, the mirror blinks first. She stumbles backward, and her hand catches the frame of a portrait she didn't notice before. Her reflection in the glass is him, or someone wearing his body like a photograph left out in the rain. Behind her, a faint music starts. A lullaby, something tinny coming from beneath the floorboards. She doesn't follow it, but her feet do. Downstairs, though she was never upstairs, she finds a record player spinning. No record, just the needle tracing silence. Still, the sound plays. Her mother's voice, maybe, or her own from another lifetime, humming a tune that loops with no end. The kitchen walls are lined with frames. Every one of them holds the same image, her, always her, but different. In one, she wears a red scarf she's never owned. In another, her eyes are green. Some show her older, some a child. In one, she stands beside him, but he's transparent, only his outline etched in dust. In none of them is she smiling. The refrigerator hums louder. Its door is slightly ajar. She closes it without thinking, but inside, something clicks, like a tongue against the roof of a mouth. She runs upstairs, though the stairs descend as she climbs. In the room where she first awoke, The bed is gone. Only the pillow remains. It's damp and cold. Pressed into its center is a faint indentation, the shape of a head. But it's too small for his, too narrow for hers. She kneels beside it, trembling, and sees something underneath. Another photo. This one is of her, but she's asleep. In this room, from an angle near the ceiling, written on the back, "Do not wake her. She's already someone else." The mirror across the room shows two of her now. One still kneeling, one slowly standing. Her reflection tilts its head, smiles, and then whispers something she almost understands. Her ears ring, her fingers twitch, and behind her eyes, something presses forward. A memory she never had, a voice she never spoke, a name she never chose. She runs, but the door opens into sky. Nothing below, just clouds, just blue, just depth. But in the corner of the window, on the glass pane she hadn't touched, is a single handprint, smaller than hers, facing inward. It pulses once, like a heart, like breath, and when she blinks, it's her eye on the other side of the glass, watching back. The address is still listed, even now, on the lease agreement, the water bill, the emergency contact card in his wallet, a neat little craftsman house on Mayfair Drive, 2 bedrooms, blue shutters, faint scorch marks on the lawn that refuse to grow over. They remember him signing the lease, pen to paper, smiling even the ink dried, the keys handed over. The woman at the office said he wanted a quiet place, but the house burned down 10 years ago. Ashes, a foundation long cracked, nothing but broken brick, and a single nail-driven mailbox post leaning sideways like it's ashamed to still be there. And yet, last night, a neighbor saw the porch light click on at exactly 8:31 p.m. She thought nothing of it at first, just muscle memory, she said. Some lights come on by themselves. Some shadows look like people when you stare too long. But she swears she saw him, leaning against the window in the front room, his hand on the glass, not waving, not moving, just looking. The police checked, not because they believed her, because the department still had an open file, unresolved disappearance, missing person, voluntary. They'd marked once, then scribbled it out. The foundation of the house is still there, but the grass has grown uneven over the wreckage. You can see the outline of what used to be a hallway. You can see where the floor sloped down near the back. Old water damage, probably. And the strange thing is, his toothbrush was in the bathroom. The bathroom that doesn't exist, where the floor has no tiles anymore, where the sink is just a rust ring and pipe ends poking up like snapped bones. But the toothbrush was clean, fresh, pale green, the kind he always used. And when they tested the bristles for DNA, the lab tech wrote only one word in the margin of the report: recent. The air smells like fire here. Still, not smoke, not ash, just the warmth of something half remembered, like a match being struck underwater. The landlord doesn't want to talk about it. He moved 3 states away after the fire. That he still dreams about the blue shutters. Said he never told anyone. But the house used to breathe softly at night when the wind was still. A week later, someone forwarded a voicemail. No number, no timestamp, just a recording, 38 seconds long. It was him, his voice, muffled as if buried, saying, I didn't mean to stay. I just closed the door. It didn't open the same way again. Then silence. Then breathing. Not his. They went back, dug deeper, under the foundation. In what used to be the crawl space, they found a room. Not on any blueprint. 8 feet wide. Lined with plaster that had not peeled or cracked, even after a decade. And in the center, a chair facing a wall, and scrawled across the wall, in faint indentations, as if written with the edge of a spoon. I made it home. No dust, no mold, just cold. They placed motion sensors, cameras, left a recorder running overnight. In the morning, all the footage was gone. But the recorder, it had captured only one thing. A knock from the inside. They sealed the space, filed the report, moved on. But the neighbor, she walks her dog past the lot every evening. And now at 8:31 p.m. exactly, the porch light comes on again. There's no porch, no bulb, no wiring, just light. And sometimes, when the wind dies and her dog won't step past the mailbox post, she hears it, a voice through the weeds. I closed the door, but it didn't open the same way again. And in the soil beneath what never was, something shifts, like breath returning to lungs that no longer belong to anyone. She doesn't remember falling asleep. The light was on when she closed her eyes, dimmed just enough to cast shadows that didn't move. The sheets still carried the lavender scent she sprayed every night, like ritual, like hope. When she wakes, the light is off. The window is cracked, and something rests in her palm. A charm, small, metallic, no clasp, no chain. Warm, unnaturally so, as if pulled from beneath a sleeping body. She doesn't scream, not yet. She only sits there in the dark, staring at the strange shape, oval but imperfect, like it had been made by hand, hammered carefully, but without symmetry. There are symbols carved into the surface, not letters she knows, not even glyphs she can trace online. They seem to shift, only slightly, each time she blinks. The weight of it feels familiar, uncomfortably so, like the ghost of a memory she never lived. Hours later, she remembers his journal, the one she lost, or misplaced, or burned. She isn't sure anymore. So many things were let go after he disappeared. So many pages with his handwriting, slanted, meticulous, urgent. But she remembers one entry. Just one. I saw it again. The charm. In my dream, it opened. Not like a locket, more like a mouth. It whispered, but the sound came from beneath my bed. I woke up with the taste of metal. I think it's calling something back. She never told anyone about the entry, especially not the part where he ended it with, "If you find it, don't keep it warm." She runs her fingers over the charm. It is warm still. By morning, the warmth hasn't faded, not even when she places it in the freezer, inside a Ziploc bag. 2 hours later, when she checks again, the plastic is brittle with frost, but the charm is warmer than her fingertips. She brings it to a jeweler. Doesn't explain, just asks, "What is this made of?" The man frowns, pulls out lenses, tools, a soft cloth, examines, measures, weighs, then sets it down gently. "It's not metal, I know," he says, his voice uncertain. Feels forged, but not by heat, almost like it was grown. She thanks him and leaves before he can ask more. That night, she dreams again, but not her own dream. She's lying in a room she doesn't recognize. A narrow window above, a humming sound below, and beside her, not on the bed, but inside the mattress, something breathes. She rolls over, and there, tucked into the folds of the blanket, is the charm. Only it's open, hinged in the middle, revealing an engraving inside. A symbol that spins slowly even, though she doesn't touch it. She wakes. The charm is back in her palm, closed, but now there's something else. A tiny indentation on her wrist. Not a bruise, not a cut. A shape, perfectly matching the back of the charm. Like it had pressed into her skin while she slept. Like it had marked her. She wraps it in cloth and places it in the drawer beside the bed. But at 3:11 a.m., she hears the drawer slide open. Not fast, not loud, just the slow, patient movement of something that has waited long enough. And in the hallway mirror, one she keeps covered most nights, she sees her reflection. It isn't blinking, and there around her neck is the charm. The warmth spreads from her throat to her tongue. And though she doesn't speak, the air around her hums with a name that doesn't belong to her anymore. The woman at the registry office blinks too many times. Her smile folds like paper when she reads the screen. "I'm sorry," she says, fingers hesitating above the keyboard. There's an issue. The monitor glows soft green in the dim light. Behind her, shelves filled with sleep, file boxes, curled records, the remains of lives organized into codes. It says the certificate is invalid. The clerk continues. Her voice sounds rehearsed, but this part isn't in the script. She tilts the screen away. Too late. The word burned into the light still lingers in her memory. Inactive, not deceased, not archived, not closed, just paused. She leaves the office with a copy anyway. The woman had printed it reluctantly, with trembling hands, stamped it with a seal that didn't imprint. No date of finalization, no corner code, no cause of death, just his name and the word inactive. That night, she doesn't fall asleep so much as fold into it, like paper through water, like something already written, waiting to be read again. She finds herself in a hallway, long, dim, no windows. The walls are made of wood, wet wood, bleeding dark streaks from old knots. At the end of the hallway, a door, heavy, peeling white paint, the kind of door used for basements or morgues. Something inside is trying to stay quiet, but the handle pulses gently, like a hand resting just behind it, like breath held too long. She turns away, but the hallway stretches. Every step back adds another plank, another flickering bulb, another sound, a soft tapping from beneath the floorboards. When she wakes, her hand is sore, fingers curled around the bedsheet, knuckles white. There are splinters in her palm, but her floor is carpet, and the hallway to her bedroom doesn't end in a door. She checks the certificate again, still stamped, still marked, still inactive. On a hunch, she checks the hospital records, his admittance, his vitals, his discharge. There is no discharge. The screen shows a frozen loop. Patient under observation. Monitoring suspended. Review date null. She calls the number listed. It rings once, then static, then breathing her own, played back out of time. She doesn't call again. Instead, she visits the cemetery. walks to the plot that holds the casket, the one she picked, the one she cried over, the one they lowered while the sky stayed blank and untouched. But something's wrong. The grass around it is untouched, not newly grown, untouched. No prints, nowhere, not even dew. And the headstone, it's clean, too clean, like it was never engraved, just painted. She runs her thumb across his name. It smears. She doesn't sleep that night, but the door finds her anyway. It's not in a dream this time. It's in the hallway, the real one, between the bathroom and the guest room. It shouldn't be there. It wasn't there, and it still smells of wet wood. There's a sound from the other side. Not banging, not footsteps. Breath drawn in, held, waiting. She doesn't open it. She doesn't need to. The next morning, the door is gone, but her bedroom is colder, and there are wet footprints on the floor, barefoot, packing, but only half of a pair. That day, she tries again. She goes to a different clerk, different office. I need to confirm a death certificate, she says. She gives the name. The clerk frowns, pulls up the file, and pauses. There's a note here, the woman whispers. One moment. She leaves, takes the screen with her, but the printer behind the desk spits out a page anyway. The seal is faint. No code, no signature, just a new line at the bottom. Status pending return. Do not file. She doesn't take the paper. She leaves it there, fluttering like a dead leaf in the breeze from the air vent. That night, she finally opens the door. Inside, the room is blank. White, fluorescent, and in the center, a gurney. The sheet is pulled over a figure, but no feet, no shape, just weight, and where a face should be, the fabric is pressed inward, as if something is still breathing. Shallow, steady. She backs out slowly, closes the door, and nails it shut from her side. But every night after, she hears it. The door doesn't open, but it clicks, like a heartbeat, measured, not gone, not dead, just waiting. And by morning, her name has appeared beneath his on the certificate, not as widow, not as next of kin, but as witness. She doesn't dream anymore, not in the way others do, with symbols and static and strangers wearing familiar faces. Her dreams have turned into rooms, rooms with corners that don't blink, walls that listen, and him. He never walks in. He's just there, as if the room is shaped around where he should be. His scent comes first, warm linen, cedar soap, the faintest breath of static from his old shirts. Then the weight, not on her, but nearby, like something pressing gently on a mattress 2 feet away, as if the air has taken the shape of someone lying still. The first night it happened, she whispered his name. No echo, no answer, but her lips tasted like the tea he used to make, and the breath she exhaled didn't feel like her own. The dreams grew longer, not deeper, just slower. Everything moves like sleep paralysis. Ceiling fans that turn 1 blade per minute. Curtains that never settle. Shadows that wait for her to blink. But she doesn't. Not anymore. Because one night, she saw something move when she did. Not her reflection. Not a ghost. Something just behind her vision. Like a breath warming the inside of her skull. She spoke to it. Where are you? The answer came too close. So close it vibrated her teeth. It didn't pass through her ears. It touched her thought, a voice that sounded tired, heavy, familiar. Right where you left me. She didn't ask again. That night, she woke with a pillow crease across her chest, but her head had never touched the bed. She begins to smell things in the real world, things that shouldn't be there. His old cologne, discontinued for years. The shampoo he stole from hotels. The scorched scent of his phone when it overheated under his pillow. And once, the smell of blood, just a single drop, sharp metallic old, right at the back of her throat. She doesn't mention it to anyone, because no one's left, because no one ever was. The therapist stopped responding. The sister stopped calling. The mail no longer comes. Even the clocks have started to pause, all of them stalling at 3:11 a.m. That's the moment the dreams open now. Not start, open, like a trapdoor under her breath. She no longer falls asleep. She slips, as if something cold and endless pulls her down gently, like silk being drawn across stone. In the dream, she walks the same hallway, the one she never built, the one not in any floor plan. At the end of it, the air hums. She doesn't open the door. She stands beside it, waiting and listening. Some nights it speaks, but only in fragments, whispers that don't carry meaning until she's already awake, like seeds planted behind her ribs. And in the morning, something new always grows there. A thought, a shiver, a memory that never belonged to her. This night is different. She feels it before she even sinks. The silence has weight, like velvet soaked in fog. The walls are closer, the air heavier, and she can hear him breathing. No rhythm, no pattern, just presence, the kind of breathing someone does when they're watching and waiting. She speaks again. The words feel like stones in her mouth. Why did you leave? This time, the answer takes longer. The dream bends, not like fabric, like film. Old reel warping, light crackling in the margins of her vision. I didn't. Her mouth won't close. The dream doesn't end. It thickens, like something waking up around her. His scent intensifies, not just on her skin, inside her, like she's breathing in his memory with every exhale. She reaches toward the shape, just an outline, not shadow, not man. But wait, and it breathes. She pulls her hand back. It's damp. Her fingertips smell like the shirt she buried with him. When she turns slowly, afraid she already knows, the mirror is gone. Just a wall, pulsing slightly, like it remembers what it used to show. And then he says goodbye, but not in words, in pressure, in breath behind her ear, in the curl of air under her fingernails, a sound like silk tearing underwater. And her body remembers how he used to hold her, how his chest felt behind hers, how his heartbeat always came just a little too fast. She wakes up with her arms around nothing, but the shape of someone lingers in the bedsheet, and the last thing she hears, as if it's still echoing in her marrow, is a whisper that wasn't meant to be heard aloud. I'll go now. Story 3. The package is small enough to cradle in both hands. Wrapped in craft paper, the edges folded with deliberate care. Not mechanical, not sloppy. Human, precise. The wax seal is darker than blood, deep maroon, stamped with no crest, only a faint impression. She turns it over once, twice. There's no return address, just a label, faintly yellowed. typed letters, spaced too evenly. Oneg. She stares at it, not because of what it says, but because of what it shouldn't know. She never gave her blood type to the clinic, never printed it on her ID, not even in her medical profile. She always left that line blank. Only her mother ever knew. And her mother was gone before paper mattered. She doesn't open it right away. Instead, she sets it on the table, watches how the light falls across its angles. There's a weight to it, not just in mass, in presence. Like whatever's inside doesn't just occupy space, but remembers it. She makes tea, leaves it steeping too long. The water turns bitter. Still, she drinks it cold. The box sits untouched, but the wax softens slightly, as if warmed from within. At 3:00 a.m., the refrigerator hum stops. The walls seem to listen. She slices the wax seal with a paring knife. Inside, cotton, soft, damp, folded carefully as if it once swaddled something fragile. She peels it open. There's no photograph, no relic, just something organic, flesh-colored, curled like a sleeping mouse. It smells faintly of rust and antiseptic. She doesn't know what it is, but her fingers begin to itch. Tucked beneath the cloth is a note, typed on the same kind of label. All caps, "We've found you." She leaves the box in the sink, washes her hands until her skin numbs. Then again, even when the water runs pink, sleep doesn't come. The windows feel too exposed. She draws every curtain, turns every mirror backward, covers the hallway nightlight with a towel. Till she sees the shape of the box when she closes her eyes. At dawn, her phone buzzes. A known number. No contact info. No ringtone, just static. The screen blinks once, then again. She picks it up. The voice is soft, familiar in the way firelight is never still, never knowable. "Did you open it?" it asks. She doesn't speak. The line clicks. No dial tone, only a low, rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat underwater. She throws the phone under a pillow, but it keeps vibrating softly, once every minute, like breath. She drives to the post office, hands the box to the clerk, careful not to meet his eyes. "I didn't order this," she says. "It isn't mine." He glances at the label, pauses, then says, "We don't ship from that region anymore." She asks what region. He just smiles hollow. There are places paper can't come back from. He places the box on the counter behind him, gently, like it might wake. She leaves without her receipt. That night, her doorbell rings once, then again, then doesn't stop. But no one stands there when she checks. Only a package, the same one. The wax now darker, almost black, but the label is changed. Not just Oneg. Now it reads, "Oneg match confirmed." She brings it inside with gloves, places it under a colander in the sink, boils water, pours it slowly over the box. The wax smears, the paper peels, the contents stay still, and when she lifts the cloth, she swears the flesh inside has shifted, grown, opened slightly, just enough to reveal something pink, pulsing, like a bud or a mouth. She drops it. It lands too softly, like it anticipated being dropped. She burns it in the fireplace, watches it curl and twitch as the flames rise. It doesn't scream. It just hisses, low and long, as if steam were escaping from lungs. She sits in the dark for hours after. The smell doesn't fade. It lingers in her hair. In the morning, the mailbox hangs open. Inside the note, nothing else. No envelope, no stamp. Just the words, printed in slightly warped type. Thank you for RTURNG. We've MISSEDU. She drops it. There's blood on her thumb. Paper cut, but deep. The wound doesn't clot. It pulses. And when she blinks, she swears the trees across the road lean in closer. The label appears on her toothpaste, on her shampoo bottle, carved lightly into the butter inside the fridge. Oneg. She checks every drawer, every notebook, her license. Her name has vanished. Only the blood type remains, as if it was always her name. She opens the sink. The pipes smell wrong. She reaches inside, feels something soft, warm, wet. She pulls her hand back. It comes away clean. But there's something under her nail, too red, too recent. That night, her dreams are humid. She floats in dark water, surrounded by whispering voices, soft, loving, murmuring syllables she doesn't understand. Then one word she does. Welcome. When she wakes, the house is silent. Her hands are folded across her chest. The curtains have been drawn back, and on the kitchen table, wrapped in damp cotton, lies a new box, unlabeled. But she knows. She knows. She doesn't open it this time. But already, something inside is breathing in rhythm with her own. The label's corner was lifting. She pressed it back down. It peeled again. Something beneath it waited. Not residue, not ink. A second label older, faded under adhesive. Just one name typed in bleeding ribbon. Midway Grove. She didn't recognize it. It felt like a typo. A place scribbled down during a dream and forgotten before waking. But the word lingered in her head, like it had been whispered to her once, in a different life. Or just before this one. She Googled it. Nothing. No listing. No zip code. No signposts or street photos. Just a glitchy forum thread from 2009. Did anyone else pass through Midway Grove as a kid? I can't find it now. 2 replies. The first, you can't find it because it wasn't meant for you. The second, check your attic. That's how I remembered. She closed the browser. Suddenly, the house felt too tall above her, as if it remembered having more rooms than it now admitted. The courier on the phone was too cheerful. Yes, ma'am. It was scanned out of Midway Grove Distribution Hub. She asked him to spell it. MIDW. She stopped him. There's no such town, she said. He paused, like the line had bent inward. Not anymore. Then a click, and static that sounded like shallow breathing through gauze. She climbed to the attic that night. The ladder groaned as she pulled it down, not from weight, but from recognition. The insulation was dense. The air smelled of moths and mold. She reached into a loose seam in the wall. Her fingers hit something solid. Not wood, metal. She pulled it out. A rusted road sign, bent at the corner. Letters still legible beneath the corrosion. Welcome to Midway Grove. Population 0. Still waiting. Her hands didn't shake. She just stared. And in the silence, she felt like the sign was waiting for her to finish reading. The next morning, her GPS refused to load. Every map app flickered, showed her neighborhood, her street, but not her house. Just blank gray space where her lot should be. When she tried typing Midway Grove, the screen went black. then a single message. You are already inside. She drove to the town archives, asked the clerk, a pale man with missing fingernails and a voice like wet pages, if he'd ever heard of it. His eyes narrowed. Who told you about that place? She lifted the label from her coat pocket. He blinked slowly, then said, Some towns fold inward when they aren't wanted anymore. She asked what that meant, but he just handed her a file, unlabeled, dusty. Inside were photocopies of missing persons reports, 23 in total, all between 1971 and 1996. Every one of them had a birthmark circled in red ink. Right shoulder blade. She ran her hand over her own back, felt the scar she'd always called a burn, but she had no memory of fire. That night, her phone screen cracked, not from a fall, from pressure. A hairline fracture shaped like a tree, branching, spreading. She watched it widen. Underneath the glass, a word formed. Midway. Then it blinked away. She opened the package again. This time, the cloth inside was damp. Black spots growing at the edge. There was something new tucked beneath the original note. Photo Polaroid, no date. A long stretch of road surrounded by trees, endless and dark. And in the center, a car, her car. She could see the dent above the front tire, the sticker peeling from the bumper, but the plate number was missing, just a smear, as if it had never been assigned, or never needed one. She showed the photo to a gas station attendant on the highway. He studied it for a long time. That's Route 54, he finally said. But it doesn't go anywhere anymore. She asked what he meant. It just stops, like the road forgot what it was doing. Then he leaned closer. If you drove that way at night, you should wash your tires. Why? He stared at her windshield. To keep the trees from following you back. The tires did feel strange. The car pulled left, and when she stopped to check, she found something caught in the treads. A strip of cloth, familiar, same material as the package wrapping, stained with the same dark mildew. She tugged it free. Underneath, carved into the rubber in ragged lines, return to sender. She left the car at the edge of her driveway, sat on the porch, the Midway Grove sign at her feet. The wind had shifted. It smelled like heat, like pavement and gasoline, like memory fraying at the edge of recognition. She closed her eyes and heard engines, dozens of them, all moving toward her from a road she didn't remember building. When she opened her mailbox the next morning, there was no letter, only a folded road map with every town erased, but one circled in red. Midway Grove. The mirror fogs slower than it used to. She notices this first. The way condensation curls at the edges, but never reaches the center, like the glass is holding its breath. The morning light feels strange in the room, sharper, harsher, like a spotlight cast over a stage that no one's watching anymore. She leans forward to wipe the fog away. Her reflection doesn't follow. Not immediately. It hesitates, then lifts its hand, just a second too late. She laughs at herself, a nervous sound. Tells herself it's sleep deprivation, or stress, or shadows. But that night, brushing her teeth, it happens again. She lifts her left hand. The mirror lifts its right. She smiles. It doesn't, just watches, mouth still, eyes locked to hers, like a stranger trying to remember someone they used to be. She checks the mirror in the hallway. That one behaves, mostly, until she glances away and swears the face it shows is still watching her long after she's turned. The number comes 2 days later. She leans closer to the bathroom mirror, looking for anything, cracks, dirt, a hidden projector beam. That's when she sees it, not in the center, etched near the bottom corner in microscopic faded ink. Nearly invisible unless the angle and light are exact. 11:38. She rubs at it with a towel. It doesn't smudge. It's under the glass, and it's the same number she saw on the edge of the first package. A set of barely raised dots she thought were a manufacturing code. Now it stares back at her, through her. It doesn't feel random. It feels chosen. That night, her reflection mouths it. Not out loud, not with sound, just lips forming the numbers, over and over again. 1138. She covers the mirror with a towel, but she can still hear the whisper in her head. Not hers. She searches her records, old files, medical reports. No sign of the number, but in an old school notebook, tucked behind a water-damaged drawing of a bird. She finds it scribbled once in the corner of a math worksheet. No memory of writing it. Just page 11, question 38. And below it, I see her now. She takes the mirror off the wall. Behind it, written in charcoal on the plaster, if you see this, she's close. The handwriting is hers, but sharper, more deliberate. She didn't write it. She doesn't think she did. The mirrors across the house start behaving oddly. The living room 1 reflects empty chairs with faint indentations, like someone just stood up. The closet 1 shows her asleep when she's awake. She covers them, every one, except the bathroom. She can't stop looking into that one, and it's always looking back. The reflection begins smiling again, not mirroring her, smiling on its own. Wide teeth too clean, lips too still. She tests it, waves. The mirror waves back, but with the wrong hand. She tilts her head left. It tilts right, and then doesn't reset. Just stays tilted, frozen, like a photograph. At 11:38 p.m., her phone rings. No caller ID. She doesn't answer, but it rings again and again. Finally, she picks up. No voice, just the sound of a ticking clock. Then faintly, the sound of her own voice whispering, "You forgot me." She throws the phone in the sink. The water runs black. She tries to smash the mirror, wraps it in a towel, hits it with a hammer, but it doesn't break. It bends, like it's rippling inward, like the glass is remembering something deeper than its surface. And when she removes the towel, the reflection is smiling again, mouth open now, whispering a word she can't hear. But the number is visible on the tongue. 11:38. She dreams in reflections now, not from her own eyes, but from mirrors, puddles, polished wood. She sees herself move through rooms she's never entered. She watches herself press a hand to glass and leave it there, and sometimes the reflections blink twice, even when she doesn't. She wakes with the mirror uncovered again. She's sure she covered it, but it's bare now, and the reflection isn't hers. It's her face, yes, but the eyes are too wide. The lips are already moving, and when she opens her mouth to scream, the reflection leans forward and presses its forehead to the glass. Softly, gently, like it's missed her. Later, she finds an old Polaroid tucked into the corner of her bathroom drawer. Unmarked, it shows her as a child, standing in front of the bathroom mirror. She's smiling. The reflection is not. And written in the corner, just numbers. 1138. A date, a room, a time. She flips the photo. One word etched in ink. Reunion. That evening, the mirror is warm to the touch. She doesn't mean to place her hand on it, but it draws her. The surface ripples, just slightly, and her handprint remains, even after she walks away, even after midnight. It pulses faintly, like a heartbeat trapped in silver. Behind the glass, her reflection waits patiently, mouthing the number like a prayer, over and over, as if the real her has always been on the other side. She notices it on a Tuesday. The light, a blink, no brighter than a sigh, red and brief, like the eye of something pretending to be dormant. It comes every time she speaks. Only then, she tests it with a whisper, a hum, a word she hasn't said in years. Mother. It blinks. She stands still beneath the smoke detector, neck craned, waiting for movement. None comes, but the air feels thicker, as though it knows she's looking. She doesn't remember it being there when she moved in. There was a smoke detector, sure, but not this one. The casing is newer, whiter, still smelling faintly of warm plastic. She climbs a chair and looks closer. No manufacturer, no screws, no seam, just a smooth white shell, blank and pristine, and the eye still watching. She leaves the room, then speaks from the hallway. It blinks. She covers it with tape. The light still pulses, faintly visible through the adhesive. She stacks books over the chair, removes the whole device, careful, slow. It doesn't resist, but as soon as it's in her hands, the plastic hums faintly. Not mechanical, alive. She opens it with a box cutter. Thin white plastic gives way with a soft click. Inside, wires, a lens, a coiled thread of copper, and something else, something organic. Veins, red, webbed like roots, pulsing with wet rhythm, embedded between the circuitry. She touches it. It twitches. She screams, drops it into a trash bag, ties it with double knots, and tosses it outside. Washes her hands until they're pink and raw, then sits on the couch, wrapped in silence, watches the ceiling where the thing used to be. The space is empty now, but somehow it feels more observed than before. At 2:46 a.m., she hears a click. Not from the walls, not from the window, from above. She flips the light on. The detector is back, identical, installed perfectly. The plastic unstained, the lens red. Already watching. She doesn't scream this time, just stands beneath it, lips pressed thin, heart-scraping bone. I removed you, she whispers. The light blinks. She tears it down again, this time without care, throws it into the freezer, shuts the door, listens to it hum against the frost. An hour later, she checks. The freezer is empty, nothing but ice crystals and a faint red glow beneath the frost. Her breath fogs the air. She closes the door again. This time, she doesn't open it. She drives to a hardware store in the next town, buys a new detector, old-fashioned, battery-operated, no lights. She installs it herself, sits back, waits. Nothing blinks. She almost cries. That night, she wakes to something chirping, not from the hall, from under her pillow. She lifts it. The new detector stares up at her, red light pulsing gently, as if it had been there the whole time. She begins checking the rest of the house. The bathroom fan, the shower drain, the bulb in the fridge. All of them blink. Not constantly, only when she breathes, when she speaks, when she remembers. One blinks in rhythm with her pulse. She cuts the power to the house. Everything goes dark. No hum, no glow, no blinking. Relief. But when she looks out the window, the streetlights blink red, one by one, in her direction. She turns her phone on. The camera is active. She never touched it. She checks the attic next, climbs with shaking hands, flashlight clamped between her teeth. The air is wrong up there, thicker. She finds an old radio, plugged into nothing, still humming. The walls are lined with insulation, but behind them she finds cavities, each filled with old detectors, stacked in rows, humming, breathing. Some cracked open, all pulsing red, all watching her. She tears the insulation down, rips the detectors apart with her hands. Blood or something like it runs down her arms. She screams until her throat breaks. The hum continues, even louder now, like it's inside her ears. She flees, drives until the sky forgets how to be dark, books a motel 2 hours away. No fire alarm in her room, just a sprinkler. Still, she checks it. No light. She sleeps. In the morning, her car is gone. Not stolen, not misplaced, just absent. And in the parking space, a box, wrapped in waxed paper. She doesn't need to open it. She knows what's inside. She returns home, slowly. The house feels larger now, echoing, like it's been stretched to fit something else. On the ceiling, every room holds a detector again, this time painted flesh-colored. Each one bears a number, all the same, 1138. She sits in the living room, speaks aloud. Why? A pause. Then from every detector, in perfect unison, we remember you. She tries to cry, but the air grows warm, thick. Something drips from the ceiling. She wipes it, red, sticky, and behind her, one of the detectors begins humming. Not electrical, musical, like a lullaby recorded in a key too low to comfort. She covers her ears, but the hum follows, soft, steady, familiar, as if she's simply remembering the song she once wrote for the watchers. The second package arrives without ceremony. No knock, no shadow on the porch, just presence, dense and wrong, waiting like a breath held too long. She finds it sitting at the threshold, wrapped in heavy paper the color of wet bone. Same wax seal, same absence of sender. But this time, her name is written in blue ink, delicate cursive, the way her grandmother used to write birthday cards. She doesn't open it right away. She touches it once. The paper is warm and faintly damp. Inside, 3 items, none shocking, and yet somehow each is unbearable. A lock of hair, the same dull brown as hers, tied in fraying blue ribbon. She runs it through her fingers and feels a memory she doesn't remember having, standing on a chair while someone brushes her hair. Soft humming, the sound of rain against windows, then a snap, like scissors cutting too close to the scalp. She drops it. The hair lands on the floor and curls into a shape that looks like a question mark. The second item, a child's bracelet. Plastic beads, faded color, one letter missing. She knows it instantly. She'd worn it in the 3rd grade, the day she ran too fast on the playground and fell hard. It disappeared that afternoon. Her mother said she'd probably flung it while running. But here it is, grime in the crevices, the same missing clasp. She holds it up to the light. The beads spell out her name, but it's not the name she goes by now. It's the one she stopped using after the funeral. She begins to shake before opening the 3rd item. A cassette tape, unlabeled except for a white sticker. The night you forgot. She doesn't own a cassette player. Not anymore, but the house does. Buried in the back of the hallway closet. Under blankets, under mothballs. An old gray recorder with cracked plastic and a faint smell of dust. She presses play, and silence answers. She leans in. The first sound is breath. Unsteady, uneven, like someone trying to be quiet while crying. Then her voice, young, familiar, terrified. Can anyone hear me? A pause, static, then more breath. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. She hits stop, leaves the recorder on the kitchen table like it might bite. An hour later, she plays the rest. The tape unspools in warbles. More of her voice, asking questions, begging someone, anyone to answer. And then something else. Another voice, almost hers, but older, sharper, shaking with something too cold to be called fear. Don't forget again, it says. They're watching from inside the walls. The tape cuts, clicks, ends. The machine ejects the cassette without prompting. It lands on the table in a way that feels deliberate. She replays the memory in her head. Age 9, woke up under her bed, shaking. No memory of the night before. Just dirt under her nails and a missing tooth she never found. She asked her mother where she'd been. Her mother had smiled too softly. Silly girl, she'd said. You were never gone. But she was. Some part of her still is. And now it's speaking back. That night, the bracelet disappears from the kitchen table, reappears on her wrist while she's sleeping. Tight, slightly too small. When she removes it, the skin beneath is red and warm, as if it's been there for years. She takes the hair and buries it in the backyard, deep beneath frozen soil. She marks the place with a stone. The next morning, the stone is gone, and a tiny braid has been left on her doorstep. Fresh, still damp. The ribbon is now black. She dials her childhood home, just to hear the voicemail. She doesn't expect an answer, but someone picks up. Static than her voice, fainter than before. Hello, please don't hang up. I can almost remember. She hangs up first, and the phone begins to ring again. She takes the cassette to a repair shop, asks the man behind the counter to listen. He returns pale, sweating. You don't want this back, he says. She asks what he heard. Your voice, in places it shouldn't be. He hands her the cassette in a sealed envelope, but when she gets home, it's gone. Instead, a small CD on her table. No label, just a mirror-like surface. When she stares into it, her reflection smiles without her. She walks to the edge of town, beyond the signs, beyond the streets she knows. There's a mailbox there, nailed to a tree. No house, no road, just a box. She opens it. Inside, a note. Same typeface, same ink. Welcome back. Return to sender pending. She dreams again. Same voice, same tape, but this time the words change. You left me there, her voice says. In the cold, with them. She asks in the dream who they are. The answer comes from behind her. She doesn't turn around. She never wants to see what remembers her. In the morning, her mirror is fogged, but she didn't shower. In the center, a number drawn in condensation. 5. No context, just the beginning of a countdown, or the end of a memory. And somewhere inside the house, the tape begins to play again. Even though no one presses the button, and the voice on it is already wide awake, the internet becomes unreliable in small, invisible ways. First, the search engine stalls. Then her email flickers, refusing to open anything but its own reflection. Finally, her screen freezes mid-keystroke, not with an error, but a hush. When it moves again, she's no longer on the page she typed. A single tab, a site she didn't click, no address bar, no close option, just a black box embedded on a blank white page. Inside it, a live stream, muted, gritty, static-skinned. She leans closer. It's her bedroom, but not exactly. The camera angle is wrong. High and distant from the ceiling's northwest corner, where nothing should be mounted. It watches the bed, the dresser, the window, all exactly as they are now, except the light is wrong. Dimmer, tilted sideways, like dusk happens differently in that room. She walks to her real bedroom and looks up. Nothing in the corner. No red light, no device. She returns to the monitor. The stream lags once, then catches up, showing her on the screen, standing in front of her bed. But she never entered the room. The screen flickers again. In the top right corner now, numbers. A countdown, white on red, 00:12:53. It ticks softly, even though the volume is off. She tries to close the window. The cursor won't respond. The mouse drags like it's underwater. She pulls the plug. The screen stays on. She calls a friend, or tries to. Every number reroutes to static. The dial tone loops endlessly. She opens her laptop. It boots directly into the same stream. Now the angle has changed. Lower, closer, facing the bed. The sheets are slightly wrinkled, as if someone just got up, as if someone is still watching from beneath them. She opens the closet, expecting wires, finds nothing but clothes. But on the wall behind the hangers, a drawing in faint graphite, a rectangle, a screen, her bed, and numbers in the corner, 00:08:17. The countdown never pauses, even when the power is cut, even when the computer is off. The screen glows faintly, feeding off something older than electricity. She unplugs everything, pulls the battery from her laptop. The feed remains. Now it's watching her doorway. She tapes over every vent, every camera, removes the bulbs. But the screen keeps shifting, keeps showing angles that shouldn't exist. Behind her, beneath her, inside her walls. The countdown reaches and begins to slow, stretching each second like it's struggling to breathe. She opens a notebook and writes down the number. Why 11:38? Why her? The pages of the notebook begin to curl. Not from heat, from watching. She sets up another laptop, one she's never used in this house. Fresh install, private network. It boots and opens the same stream. But this time, the room is not hers. It's close, almost identical, but the colors are off. The mirror hangs at the wrong height. The reflection shows a woman, back to the camera, hunched slightly, hair like hers, shirt like hers, but the eyes are missing, just smooth skin where sockets should be. And still she's watching. The countdown on that feed reads 00:00:47. A different clock, a different ending, but the knocking begins the moment both reach 30 seconds. At first it's subtle, wood shifting, pipes settling, then sharper, 3 knocks hollow, not on the door, from behind the monitor. She presses her ear to the screen. A voice, muffled, "Let me in." She speaks. "I didn't invite you." The voice answers, "You already did." The feed begins to blur, distorting into shapes. Flesh, teeth, blurred edges where skin meets reflection. Her own face appears, not staring forward, turned slightly, listening, whispering the countdown aloud, as if helping it reach 0. She runs to the mirror. Her mouth is still, but her reflection speaks. "You remember now." The feed goes dark. All screens, but the static remains, soft like wind through wires, like breath on glass. She reaches for the monitor. The screen is warm, pulsing. Behind her, the real room is silent, but the bed shifts, just slightly, as though someone is rolling over in their sleep. Someone who looks like her. Someone who has always lived on the other side of the screen. And when the countdown ends, nothing happens, except she's no longer sure which version of the room she's in, or if she was always the one being streamed. It was past midnight when she typed it, hands trembling, eyes red from the screen's glow. A post written more from instinct than clarity, a release valve for a pressure she couldn't name. Subject, am I being watched? Body, strange things have started happening. Cameras, streams, packages. Please, someone tell me I'm not alone. She hit submit, refreshed once, then again. A reply appeared in under 15 seconds. Username deleted. Message yes, but you let us in. Her breath caught, not from the answer, but from the certainty in it. As if whoever wrote it had been waiting for her question. The cursor blinked in the empty reply box. She typed, "Who are you?" The response came before she could press send. "You already know." She closed the browser, unplugged the modem, turned off her phone. But when she reopened her laptop, the page was still there. Same message, still blinking, still watching. She copied the IP address, linked to the original post, traced it. It resolved immediately. Location, her own house. Same street, same number, same room. She blinked, refreshed, same result. The IP was hers, or someone's inside. The silence in the house was no longer empty. It had shape. It wrapped around her like breath, held just too long. She stood slowly, heart hammering in her throat. The chair in the living room sat by the window. Old, wooden, curved legs, rocking, not wildly, not dramatically, just gently, as if someone had just stood up, or never had to. She didn't scream, just moved backward, step by step. Floorboards made no sound. Even the house held its breath. She grabbed the hammer from under the sink, the only object with weight she could trust, stepped forward. The chair was still moving. No wind, no cat, just motion, a slow echo of presence. She gripped the armrest, still warm, not from sunlight, from skin. On the floor beneath it, a scrap of paper, unfolded, typed neatly, center-aligned. Welcome back to the thread. She looked up. The hallway light flickered once, then went out. She moved from room to room, turning on every lamp, but each bulb dimmed to a low, amber pulse, barely enough to see her own outline. She caught it in a hallway mirror. Her reflection blinked late again, but this time it smiled, only one side of the mouth. She returned to the computer. The forum had changed. Her post was gone. Only the reply remained, pinned now, enlarged. You let us in. Below it, a list of usernames, each one crossed out, except the last, ELWIN 1138. Her screen name. She never made that her screen name. Not consciously. She unplugged everything, shut the lid, threw a blanket over it. The blanket warmed immediately, like breath underneath. She backed away. The screen turned on. Through the blanket, just the words, "You let me in." She ran to the basement, locked the door, tried to breathe, but the air was thick, damp, and it already smelled like someone had been living down there. The couch had a depression in the cushions. The walls pulsed with quiet hums, not machines, not electronics, just breath. She pulled open the fuse box, cut power to the entire house. Total dark, and in the silence, movement above. A creak, a footstep, soft, confident, already inside. She whispered aloud, "Who are you?" And from the darkness, just beneath her own voice, came another reply. "You used to know me, before the forgetting." The voice was hers, but layered, decayed, as if pulled from tape, from long-lost dreams. She reached for her phone. No bars, no screen, just a faint vibration, rhythmic, coded. Dots and dashes. Morse. She wrote it down. "We watch from the inside." Something touched her shoulder. Not pressure, recognition. She didn't turn, only whispered, "I wanted to stop." And the voice behind her said, "Then stop remembering." She opened her eyes, standing in the center of the living room again. She doesn't remember walking there, but the chair was still rocking, and her hands covered in soot, black fingerprints on the walls. In her handwriting, the phrase she'd read online, "You let US in." Again and again and again. The forum was open again. A new post under her name. No memory of writing it. Subject, "We're already here." No body, no text, just the number, 1138. She clicked it. The screen turned to static, and through it, the outline of a man blurred, flickering, packing behind her couch. She turned. Nothing. Turned back. Now the man was waving. She smashed the monitor. It kept humming. The screen, even in shards, blinked red from its cracked edges. Outside, every window reflected her house at night. No moon, just red light blinking in every pane of glass. A pattern, a signal, a heartbeat. She taped a new note to her door before locking it. "Do not let HIM in." But when she woke the next morning, the door was open, and the note had changed. "You let me in." And from somewhere deeper in the house, the forum loads again. Even with no power, no modem, no keys, as if the thread was never digital, only waiting for her to come back and reply. She hadn't meant to look, It was a stray thought, the kind that drifts through tired minds, small, unnecessary, but insistent. Just check street view. See if the grass needs cutting. She typed in her address, waited, then frowned, because the screen didn't load the familiar site. Porch swing, mailbox tilted right, rust on the gutter. It showed nothing. A smear, a distorted patch of data, the shape of absence. Where the street should be, there was only a poolsing gray field. No trees, no sky, no neighboring houses. Just one line of text, blinking in the center of the screen. Access DNID by user. She didn't remember doing that. Didn't remember even knowing you could. She refreshed. Same result. She tried satellite view. The block came into focus. Rows of rooftops, driveways, fences. But her plot was different. Flat, empty. Just a rectangle of digital static where her house should be. Like someone had tried to erase her. She opened the window. The street was still there, but different. The colors had dimmed, not with sunset, but with something behind the light, as if the sun was remembering something wrong. The mailbox leaned a different direction now. The neighbor's truck gone, but she could still hear it. Engine idling, though the driveway was empty. She closed the window, walked through the rooms, turning on every light. But each bulb seemed weaker than the one before, as if something was dimming them from the outside in. She stood in the hallway and whispered, "I didn't deny anything." And the floor creaked behind her, not from weight, from listening. She checked the timestamp on the street view image. Last updated 2 days ago. She hadn't been home that day. She had stayed with her sister across town. And when she got back, the doormat had been wet, as if someone had stood there for hours in rain that never fell. She zoomed in on the blur. Pixelated fog, but under it maybe the faint shape of a figure, just standing, facing the camera. No features, just height, outline, shadow. Her own shadow maybe, but too long, too still. She called support. The rep sounded tired, distant. She gave her address. The line went quiet. Then, that location is restricted. Why? Another pause. It was flagged by the owner. "I am the owner." "No," the voice said, more gently now. "Not anymore." The line disconnected. She clicked the request update button on the map. A dialogue opened. Fields to fill out. Owner's name. Date of residence. Access code. She didn't have one, but her name was already filled in, alongside a checkbox. Accept transfer of visibility from previous occupant. She unchecked it. The window closed itself. Her screen flickered. Now the words said, "Access DNID by current occupant." She stood in her living room and looked outside again. The houses across the street no longer faced her. Their windows were dark. Their siding turned at odd angles, as if avoiding her gaze. The trees didn't sway anymore. They held still mid-bend, like paused frames in a video. And the sky had a tint she couldn't name. Not gray, not red. Something like the color of breath, held too long. She picked up her phone, opened the compass app. North was south now. West spun in slow circles, as if the earth had been shaken loose. She scrolled back through old street view archives. 10 years ago, her house was there. 7 still there. 3 starting to blur. Last year, a full image, but warped. Windows melted into siding. Porch bent like it was underwater. In one frame, the door was open. She didn't remember it being open. And something stood inside, backlit. Watching the camera, she looked at her front door. It was closed now, but the knob was warm, not from her touch, as if someone had just gripped it from the other side. Her laptop beeped. A new email, no sender, no subject. Just a photo of her house, taken from above. No clouds, no weather, just shadows surrounding the rooftop, the only color in the image. In the center, scribbled over the roof in black marker, "You've been LOCATD." She zoomed in. A figure was lying on the lawn, curled, wearing her shirt. She closed the laptop, turned it over. The plastic was warm, like skin or breath. She put her ear to the vent. Inside, something was humming, not mechanical. A voice, maybe, repeating something over and over. She couldn't understand the words, but the cadence matched her pulse. That night, she dreamed of walking her street, but it was gone. No pavement, just white, endless white. She walked for hours until she reached her house again, but it wasn't hers. Not quite. The door was too wide, the windows too tall, and in the upstairs window, someone waved, wearing her face, but smiling with someone else's teeth. She woke to the sound of a camera shutter. No phone, no device, just the sound, echoing from inside the walls. She ran to the window. The street was gone, just fields. No houses, no signs, just a mailbox half buried in weeds, still addressed to her. She opened the laptop one more time. Street view wouldn't load, but a new map appeared. One road, one dot blinking, labeled only you. No directions, no scale, just a message beneath it. Your house has moved. She closed her eyes, and somewhere outside, where the sky no longer held a name, something knocked once, then again, then waited, and in the reflection of her blank screen, a porch light flickered on, but not her porch, and not from her side of the glass. She types the tracking number again. Third time this hour. The screen flickers. The website hangs, then loads. Instead of a delivery log or courier history, it brings up a plain white file. Recipient, placeholder, status, LOCATD. There's a name beneath the header, not hers, but the birth date matches, the address, even the apartment number. Only the name is wrong. It's close, almost a version of hers, but not one she's ever used. Alaire M. Haddon. Her name is Elise Hadley. She stares at the screen until her eyes blur. Then softly, almost involuntarily, she says the name aloud. Alaire Haddon. The room shifts, just slightly, like something behind the drywall adjusted, or leaned closer. The ceiling fan slows. The bulb above her dims, not in power, but intent, like the room itself is thinking. She whispers the name again. This time the floor creaks. A slow, deliberate sound. Not old house noise, not wind. It creaks like something packing, waiting for recognition. She calls the help number on the tracking page. A voice answers, monotone and scratchy, like it's routing through something ancient. This number has been restricted. I didn't. Confirmation accepted. The voice cuts her off. Identity realigned. Click. Silence. She looks back at the screen. The name field updates. Yelesi. HADLY right arrow ELAR HADDN. A message below. Pending merge complete. Finalization in process. She closes the laptop, but the fan above her continues spinning, even though she turned the switch off 5 minutes ago. She searches the name online. Alair Haddon. No results. Not in directories. Not in obituaries. Not in public records. But her utility bill now shows it. So does her voter registration. Her old driver's license. The name has changed. Still her photo. But someone else's name curled beneath it, like a signature she never signed. In the bathroom mirror, her face looks normal, but her name tag, the one she wears at work, now reads Alair. She peels it off, tosses it. Next morning, a new one arrives in the mail. No envelope, just the tag and a note. Corrected. At the post office, she asks for the original shipment records. The clerk scans the number. He frowns. This isn't yours. I'm the one who received it. He checks the address. This isn't here. What do you mean? He turns the screen toward her. The address isn't in the system. Her house, her street, gone. Replaced with a series of dashes and one word in all caps. Unmapped. At home, she opens her mailbox. Inside, a folded piece of paper. Nothing else. One line typed in faint ink. If the name fits, don't wear it. She drops it, but the paper lands upside down. Now the letters seem to rearrange themselves. Not visibly, but when she reads it again, it says, "You've been ELARE all along." She tears through her belongings. Old school certificates, birthday cards, prescriptions. Half of them say Elise. Half now say Alair. Same handwriting. Same pen. But different memories embedded in the ink. She finds a photo of her 4th birthday. She's smiling, candles lit. But the cake, written in crooked pink frosting. Happy birthday, Alair. She remembers Elise. But the candles remember someone else. She calls her sister. Do you remember my name? A pause. Then careful. Why are you asking? Just say it. More silence. Then, Alair, you're scaring me. The call drops. She stares at her phone. The contact label for her sister blinks. Then updates. Myra Hadley right arrow Myra Haddon. She looks in the mirror again. This time, the reflection mouths something she doesn't. A name. She can't hear it, but she knows it starts with E. That night, she dreams of a birth room. Fluorescent lights flickering above. Nurses without faces. A form being stamped. Her mother crying, but the name on her lips is muffled. She tries to scream, to correct them, but a nurse leans down and whispers, "You were never meant to be filled in." And the stamp comes down. Placeholder, ASSIGNED. She wakes. The air is thick, too still. Her phone is off, even though she never powered it down. The screen glows once before fading. In the brief flicker, she sees a line of code. User merge complete. The next morning, she walks to the neighbor's house. Knocks. An old woman answers. Do you know me? The woman peers at her. I know your face, but not your name. Elise nods. Then without thinking, she says, It's Alair. The woman's eyes go glassy. Then she smiles. Welcome back. Back at home, she finds a new package at the door. Smaller than the first. Inside, a photograph of her house from decades ago, black and white. A girl stands in front of it. Same eyes, same nose, same scar on the chin. with the name scribbled on the back. Alaire Haddon, age 8. There's a handwritten note. It took longer than expected, but we've restored you. She flips it over. Another line. You were never lost, just mislabeled. She stares at the photo, at the house behind the girl. It's hers, but older. Not like it used to be, like it's already been. She hears a knock at the back door, but there is no back door. Not in this house. She checks anyway, and in the laundry room, the wall now ends in a wooden door with a brass knob, as if it's always been there. When she whispers her real name again, the door unlatches by itself, not to open, but to breathe. The final package waits without ceremony. No knock, no footfall on the porch, just presence like fog in a sealed room, wrapped in wax paper, yellowed with time, and bound not with string, but with something sinewed, veined, living, still faintly pulsing when she touches it. It's warm, warmer than it should be. She brings it inside without thinking, hands trembling, breath shallow. The weight feels wrong, not heavy, not light, but balanced like a trap that's already sprung. There is no address on the front, no return label, only the faint glisten of something beneath the wax, a mirrored surface, curved like the inside of a bowl, silver but tarnished in shapes that remind her of fingerprints, her own, over and over. She peels the wax back slowly. It unfurls with a sound like skin, separating from glue. Underneath, nothing. No object, no paper, no key. Just the mirror. She holds it up, and it holds her. At first, she sees only herself. Dim room behind her. Pale hands, hollowed cheeks, the exhaustion of 10 long chapters etched into skin. But then the reflection twitches, just slightly, a blink that comes too late, an exhale that doesn't match her lungs. She lowers the mirror. Her real hands tremble. Her reflection continues to hold the mirror, longer than it should, then smiles. She didn't smile, not even close. She lifts the mirror again. The room in the reflection is different. Not in furniture, not in color, in air. The shadows there have direction. Intent. She leans closer. In the reflection, she leans too, but faster, sharper, eager. Behind the reflected her, the wall seems to breathe. Not with lungs, with memory. Cracks spread like veins across the drywall, and something behind it moves. She whispers, "What are you?" The reflection answers with her mouth. "You before." She sets the mirror down, but it doesn't stop. The reflection keeps moving, keeps speaking, silent words that rattle the floor. Alaire backs away, but in the mirror, the other her walks forward, and when she reaches the edge of the frame, she stops, not because she's limited, but because she's waiting. The lights in the room flicker, not like power surging, like attention shifting. The mirror grows warm. She picks it up again. This time, the other her is seated, in a chair identical to hers, breathing, crying, and then screaming, but not with sound, with sight, mouth wide, throat raw, a scream that somehow presses against her own chest, like thunder from beneath the ribs. She watches, paralyzed. The mirrored her scratches at her own face. Blood blossoms, but not red, not liquid. Ink black, thick. It pours down her neck in lines that loop into symbols, runes she recognizes, from the back of the first package, from the envelope she burned. from the name she should never have spoken. She turns away, but the room is no longer her own. The paint has peeled in circular patterns, like fingerprints spun into spiral galaxies. Every window reflects her. Not glass, not sky. Only her. Only the mirror version. Watching, waiting, smiling through bloodied teeth. She tries to destroy the mirror. She throws it. It doesn't shatter. It floats, midair, spinning gently, like a coin tossed by someone who already knows the outcome. From the corner of her vision, a flicker. The mirror settles. Now it shows a hospital room. She is there too, wired to machines. Eyes vacant, mouth stitched shut. Her body lies still. Monitors flash red, then flatline. A nurse turns away. A clipboard drops. And from that still body, the other her rises, unbound by muscle. Smoke first, then shape, then form. Her, but not healed, rewritten. She falls to her knees, not in grief, in recognition. Something unravels behind her ribs. Not sorrow, memory, memories she never lived, but now recall. A crash, a wrong name called out in the ambulance, a coma listed under Jane Doe, and a question asked once by someone in a white coat. Do you remember who you are? She answered, Elise Hadley, but the record had read, pending identity merge. She looks back into the mirror. The other her smiles and lifts something into frame. The first package, the label now printed backwards, mirrored. Oneg. She mouths the letters, then flips them in her mind. Geno, like a name, like a prefix. She's seen it before. Geno 001, Geno 1138. Her blood type, her file, her designation. The mirror flashes once, then stabilizes. Now it shows a hallway, long gray, wet, fluorescent lights blinking toward infinity. At the end, a door. She sees herself walking toward it, the mirrored self. But when she opens the door, the light inside isn't white. It's the silver from the package. Endless, screaming, rewriting. She feels something inside her shift. A vertebra, a memory, a meaning. The mirror is no longer a surface. It's a window, or maybe a camera, a feed, a documentation of her reboot. Her voice returns, but it's not hers. It's flat, low, familiar in the worst way. She hears it speak aloud. Observer node reintegrated. Completion achieved. The mirror fades to black, then blinks once more. Now it shows her current room, but vacant. She's no longer in it. Just the chair, just the package, and a message etched into the desk with something burned. You had to see it to believe it. You had to believe it to become it. A final knock sounds, but not on the door. From within the mirror, the reflection is back. It's her again, smiling, sitting, alive in the space she just died in. And in her hand, another package, wrapped in wax, tied in veins, ready for the next one.